guys, I'm gonna roll a die. Unless somebody wants to roll a D6.
I have a D6.
D6.
3.
Shoot.
1, 2, 3. Anna, you're up. Give us a recap of what happened last session.
Okay.
You probably know better than
You probably
Yeah.
So we went on a trip with Ku to an enchanted city that's surrounded by thorns, where wild magic is absolutely horrifying. And we started heading there, and on the way we stopped by this village that had a whole lot of their livestock murdered, by which I mean all of them. They had no livestock left. And then we found signs of wolves, for sure. And then as soon as it got dark, everything went all to heck. Grog got killed. Most of the villagers got killed. And
A perfectly normal priest was acquired.
a perfectly normal cleric was also acquired in Grog's place. I have some of Grog's ashes. People have some of Grog's stuff. Ku has Grog's bell.
Yes.
And,
I got mold.
I have
She got-
nothing.
She got bit to all get out of there, but
yes,
nobody knows.
Burl got bitten. Most people have not noticed this. And then
I noticed.
we started
Which is
chasing the
surprising.
wolves that murdered Grog out into the road, but they're much faster than we are and much more efficient at running. So we have finally given up the chase, and we have taken camp for right now. We're closer to the city, and things are starting to get weird.
I seem to recall I was in exhaustion too by that point.
I think hopefully resting will fix that.
Yeah.
We'll see.
This is this was probably our biggest failure as a group. Huh?
I don't think it was a failure, man. It was
Lots of
mostly
people
just
died.
everybody wanted things to go
Lots
wrong.
of people died.
That's not a failure.
As in
Will you
one?
log back in really
Well, in all
briefly?
villages.
Oh yeah.
I'm almost
Oh,
done.
fair.
Sorry.
They don't really. They're not.
They don't
Still.
count.
I don't need to know.
NPCs are people too,
Well,
Josh.
now.
We're like NPC racists.
Are they really people?
There are
They're
entire
like-
comics about that premise, Josh.
I'm pretty sure Bran Normanwoman is a
really
NPC?
NPC anyway.
Some
So
of my friends are NPCs. Anyway,
let's take an insult at that.
all right. You guys have been on the road for a bit. You guys took a long rest, was it?
Wow.
I think
Well,
Well, why don't we count that as our
Long
last long rest? That's a short rest.
Yeah. Well, it's
Our last short long rest.
stop doing it to be obfuscating. Now. Okay, so everyone took a long rest. You are not in exhaustion 3. You're in exhaustion 1.
Oh boy. This is not normal.
I'm trying to find
We could
this.
always say that
You
our
could say that curses are not normal.
Oh yeah, but I know for the Q though, or not Q. I keep calling myself Q. For Burl, she would
Everyone
know
wants
that.
to be Q. It's just a matter of time.
No, for Burl, she would know that this
Q
is
wants to be
like
Q.
having a wound like this. She hasn't felt anything like that before, and still being in exhaustion after resting like that. She'd be like, okay, this is not normal.
I assumed that during the long rest, Ku was actually taking care of Burl.
Aww, that's cute.
What would Burl
Ku's a
do?
good person.
What would Ku do for Burl?
Like what she knew what to do.
What does Ku know? This is a question
Her
I've never
medicine
known.
is 1, so not much.
she rolled last time.
Yeah.
I
And
did
she rolled
get
high enough
really
to know
good.
that like you would treat it with like cleaning and
So that's what I would keep
Bandaging.
doing probably.
Just sing me little lullabies.
basic
sleep.
first aid. She did
Kind of like
succeed.
motherly, just
That's
like
fair.
pat the head. Can she get inspiration for being a mom to me? Like the mom that
Just
I never
added in
had.
the first thing and just like, hey, free inspiration.
Well, I'm not. None of us have really been shouting it out, and you wanted us to shout it out,
That's
so I'm
true,
like,
5 million years
that's
ago.
not normal Q behavior.
That's, well, let's be honest, she's trying to mother you.
It's adorable.
But it's like a halfway thing, where sometimes it's really sweet, and sometimes it's helpful, but sometimes it's really not.
It's still adorable.
It's not with it yet, but it's on the table.
Okay.
Anyway, so you guys have just woken up, I suppose. And
How long was our long rest? Was it a day?
it was just one regular day.
Okay.
Good night's rest, but yeah.
So I'm still in kind of just feeling
She's
out of
watching
it.
you.
Not as bad as I was before, but still tired.
Chill music for chill times.
It's a chill morning.
I can't think about it.
Hey, Bran, have you ever played Spot the Lady?
What's that?
I'm not the lady.
That sounds incredibly exciting.
You have to try and guess out of which card where the queen is.
Okay.
And if you win, you get money.
Okay.
But if I win, you give me money.
That's good because I have no money, so it's a win-win.
No, it's an IOU.
Oh, okay. Sounds good.
Cool. We're gonna play Find the Lady this morning.
Alright. Let's do a contest here.
How would that? Would it be like a?
A roll. A dice
I mean,
roll?
I was assuming that I do sleight of hand.
Alright. You'll make a sleight of hand roll, and then he will make a...
Yeah, I defend against that.
I mean, if you're well, maybe if you're cheating.
For you,
could
it will
do
be either investigation or
You're not getting past that.
perception. You know, so it's... Or insight, maybe, if you are suspecting her of cheating.
It's a 15.
27.
You get bamboozled. You're not sure how, but you can never spot the lady when you want to.
This seems like an incredibly frustrating game.
But it's fun, right?
Yeah.
How much does he owe me?
I didn't
that's up
set
to
your
you.
terms. He had to agree to the terms though originally.
How much? I don't know how much I owe you.
I don't know how long we played. Should we say 50
If you
gold?
didn't actually set any terms, then
20 gold.
I guess not.
Here, take my priest back. That's all I have.
I just write you on a little piece of parchment IOU. Give it to you.
While they're over there playing their Find the Lady, I'll just like kind of turn really sleepy over to Naki and be like, "So why are you called twice orphans?
Oh yeah, that's because I'm twice orphaned.
How does that happen?
Well, you get orphaned twice.
Well, you're not hillpen."
He had
Okay,
parents.
Okay.
They died. He got some new
Here,
parents
I'll
who
tell
adopted
you
him.
the full story.
They also died.
Maybe I could read this tiny text.
I feel like there should be
He
some
pulls
kind
out a
of
little
joke about
diary.
Yeah.
twice
Maybe I can read
removed.
this
Or like, I'm an orphan twice removed. Or
Well, you see,
second orphan.
I'm not sure how I got these powers. I always seem to have them. My friends who found out my abilities shunned me.
It almost sounds like you're reading it.
I know it does. I have this memorized.
He's literally
for, like,
holding up a little diary, dude.
Yeah, I like that better.
He's reading from this tiny diary.
Let me tell you my full story. I already have
But it's like a
biography.
human-sized diary, so it's too small.
So he's
For
got
a human
this,
child, it's
this
like
little,
Sorry,
got, like,
sorry,
these
go
little
ahead.
reading glasses. It's just like,
Sorry, continue.
I tried to stop, but the power needed to be used. I learned to use it privately. One day we were attacked by a group of orcs, and both of my parents were killed in the battle, and my magic was no use.
He's trying to laugh, but this is pretty serious stuff.
You know, it's a funny story, you know?
It's a comedy.
It's the retelling of it that makes it funny. The actual thing is probably horrific and, and like
it's all the
scarring
exaggeration.
causes.
That's just my coping mechanism.
Yeah,
I'm still terribly broken, but it's pretty funny. Because of this, I ran away and I eventually found a new clan, or rather, they found me. And since I was still young, another family offered to finish raising me, and I grew older, and then we got attacked, and then they died again, and then I ran away. And I was also an adult, so I could ran away, so...
So I could ran away.
I'll
Yeah.
just kind of like look at him all sleepily and be like, "You sure like that
Two
other
things
lady
about
a
Goliath
lot?"
culture, though, they live with their families longer. Usually until they die.
What? Did giants
So,
just get attacked all the
Leaving your
time?
clan's a big deal.
I don't know. That's just kind of
So
how
being
it
an
happened.
orphan as a Goliath is a big deal. Being an orphan twice is like, that's stupid.
Like, you just... Are things gonna attack us now because you're here? Or are we gonna be orphans?
I mean,
Did we knock you 3 times orphans?
Sorcerers are always
I
some
mean, I
kind
don't
of
think
luck.
you're my parents, but if you
Hey.
were, that could
Yeah.
happen.
Well,
Because
I
the
sure
rare.
hope it can't.
I hope it doesn't.
No, I'm just kidding. Actually, no, the sorcery is actually really common.
Times.
But most people
No.
don't understand it, have it, or ever
Honestly,
have it
off the top of
triggered.
my head, I can't
And when they
remember
do, it
exactly
usually goes
what it
wrong,
was.
so they'll never want to
Blocked
do
out
it because it
memories.
usually prevents them
What?
from it.
Blocked out memories.
So,
I guess so.
sources are rare
I have
only
one of
because
those.
the circumstances
One
are
of
almost never right.
Yeah.
Ah.
It's just one memory.
I'd ask
When
what
they
it is,
are,
but you probably
oh
can't.
boy, everyone's gonna hurt, except for the
Well,
sorcerer, until the sorcerer hurts themselves.
It
That's how it
was a
works.
portal
There it is.
leading into limbo. And it was super trippy, I imagine, but I don't remember anything of what it looked like.
Well, I think I remember that. I think I was there for that.
No, that happened to you guys recently. I was not there. I was very much elsewhere. Thank goodness.
Limbo takes many forms. In fact, the way you think and what you think about, your memories and what's prominent to you will actually shape the universe around you in Limbo. So every single person would look at Limbo and see something different, even if they all looked at the same spot of Limbo.
You realize it's
Interesting.
And then they would all start to bleed and infect and create some kind of cancerous tumor of magic that would ruin a lot of stuff and be terrifying.
Well, that's not good. Let's not ever go to Limbo.
It is a silly place.
Yes.
Well, you almost did, from what I hear. Somebody almost didn't let go of a foot in
That
time.
was cute.
She's also not paying attention because she's
Yeah,
playing
she's
with Bran.
elsewhere swindling.
You realize that she's going to be asking you these same questions later.
Which ones?
Your background and everything,
Okay.
because she was not paying attention.
You're set up for failure.
Okay.
Oh boy. Fantastic.
So fun. And
Hey, this is some team building. We're starting to build up a reason why we hang out together.
Now
We're
I
not
actually
Nakia's
know
parents,
you.
therefore he feels safe with us.
I think
Well, that's
I'm
a
bit
tragic
too young
commentary.
To be her parent, though.
Well,
I guess that's true.
Sleepy.
How old are you?
I'm 13.
Oh,
Well, sorry to say, but we lost a lot of audio right here, and with one other unsalvageable section a little bit later. Exactly what happened here, no one can recall, but the best he was able to piece together is as follows. So I explained my backstory, which was that I ran away when I was 7, because I didn't like the noble lifestyle and being told what to do all the time and that high-strung kind of thing. I was just basically living on the streets and, pinching a penny here and there and grabbing a fruit and just not really doing all that good as a thief. And then I met up with Q and she was just teaching me how to do it better. Q continued to haggle Bran, in which she wrote him a bunch of IOU papers, and pretty sure Bran saw this as a token of friendship, and he was either showing him off or I caught sight of him, because I was accusing Q of haggling our new friend and ally, and she would have responded that it was some type of an initiation or breaking him in or something like that. Some time after that, eventually we set off again. There was mention about ugly cawing. DM was talking about how this had something to do with wildlife and the wild magic get affected in weird ways. The Thornwall was creeping closer to the path the further in that we went. I have notes also that say something about red fruits, but I honestly don't recall anything about them. At some point, I'd pulled out the mirror and I was flashing it around as we were walking to see what it would reveal, and then the audio picks up from there.
Picture of people in clothes and just images of stuff,
As in when she points the mirror to a person, it'll sometimes switch their appearance.
No,
No,
in
just-
fact, it just casts phantoms and images and strange things that aren't there.
Okay.
That's interesting.
Phantom
I'll probably just still be kind of half awake on my dog and I'm watching it. I'm like, that's so cool. I stare at it forever.
If I watch her with her mirror, can I take out my glass shard and do that too? Like, not really looking at anything, but
Just
You
hold
can
it.
absolutely
holding it
try.
out.
She holds out this mirror and magic happens, and then Ku marches up and pops out her gem and nothing
The
happens.
glass shard, it does sort of have more of a rainbowish look to it from any light that's reflected through it, but it doesn't generate any light of its own.
So they're wiggly plants.
The plants twitch occasionally, especially when you talk.
Bran would be investigating the plants.
Okay?
Because he was kind of investigating them all.
All right. There are plants to each
He's
side
kind
of
of
the
just easily
road.
distracted. Yeah,
Yeah, okay.
they're distracting.
When you say investigate,
Are you actually investigating?
Sure.
give me an investigation check then.
Okay.
I'm gonna roll a perception check to see if I notice this. Oh, it
You
was
notice
only
me
3.
investigating you?
Nope.
Yeah, in case something
I'm not
grabs
seeing
you.
anything. I'm with my glass shard going like this on top of
3.
Nakia's head.
That is a 3.
That was a critical fumble.
You,
Critical fail.
Oh, it was a critical
You rolled a
fail.
1.
Shoot. All right. You get a bit too personal with some of these plants,
and no
you're
one's noticing.
not really too aware. But you're grappled now.
Okay.
One of the plants starts to slither around your wrist, and he just kind of holds you there with sort of an iron grip.
And he'll be like, guys? You guys?
And
Can I roll perception to see if I hear him?
Anybody? Hey guys?
I got another 3.
Walking by.
is he saying anything loud that'd be easy to notice? Or
No,
is-
he's more like, hey, people.
I'll go over.
What'd you
and-
roll?
I rolled a 20.
Okay.
Was that a gnat?
No.
Okay, if it was a gnat, I would have been like, wow, oh, okay, we're getting off right.
Save me from that one.
But I'm assuming I hear him.
You do hear Bran just kind of like, hey guys.
What?
Plants are getting friendly. Hey,
Well, she heard
You
it.
are gripped, and what do you want to do, Bran?
break the grip.
Give me a strength saving throw.
Ooh, 20.
20. Not bad. You managed to kind of like rip your hand out of its grasp. Just, it kind of takes a bit of like yanking and just probably feels really awkward. And let me roll real fast.
Upon which I will say interesting and not tell you what any of that means.
Interesting.
And you will have to wonder what that means.
Alright, so you take about 1 point of damage. You know, from the sheer amount of pressure you've put onto your fragile hand and arm area.
Okay,
You got a scrape.
got a boo-boo, guys.
Do you catch up?
No, he would like
What's
start to
up?
reach out to the plant again.
Okay, you heard him.
But
Stop him.
real slow.
He didn't say help. He was just like, the plants are friendly. Okay.
No, okay.
Not my fault.
I think he'll like be tempted to reach out to the plant and then he'll come back and join the group.
I'd probably be too transfixed with that.
And he'll be like holding up the
Phantoms in
scratch
the air.
like
Paying any attention to any of that.
look,
Where did you get
You're a
that?
cleric, right?
plants.
No, don't waste
I
it.
am a cleric. That
I
is
mean,
right.
if it bugs you, you can like heal or something.
Don't you have
I
a healing
went to
cantrip?
school for it, but you know,
It's a badge of pride. Look at him showing it off.
I can't.
There we go.
I think I have a
There we go.
cantrip.
You know, scars are beautiful.
This is learning for me because I don't really know what
Well,
cantrips I have.
get practice. You're gonna need it.
So I think we are all finally heading down the road, and you are probably leading the way.
Yeah,
You and your
probably.
mastiff.
I'm on
With your mirror.
Nakia's
With the mirror,
shoulders.
just watching the cool swirlies and be like, hee hee.
Yeah. As you do, you know, you just keep going. It's kind of a weird road. It's starting to do weird turns and things around hills and kind of stuff. And as you go, the foliage around you gets larger and larger. You start to see actual thorns. The thorns get taller and taller. Now you have trees that are essentially covered in them as well. And it's just getting thicker and thicker, just more and more dense woodland and lots of thorns.
I'm still definitely playing I Spy.
You know, the road you're on does get a little smaller as you guys go on. Just every 100 feet is just maybe half a foot tighter. It was originally quite a wide road. Now it's getting a little bit more like some kind of back road. There's grass growing in parts of it. It's not very well kept, even though there used to be a lot of stones that were keeping it pretty kept for a long time. You start to see occasionally fruit as well. Small, kind of reddish sort of fruits in the thorns.
I should
And
have
hanging
been
from the
near
trees.
on one of those fruits, just out of curiosity.
Okay, you
Yeah.
do.
I feel like I want to investigate them.
Alright, when you shine the mirror on one of these fruits, it kind of doesn't seem to do very much. You know, there's occasionally there's a couple of empty fruits as well, just that weren't there but are revealed by your mirror, you know. The image of fruits that aren't.
I don't think I trust those fruits.
I wouldn't touch
Can I
those.
investigate it?
I've never eaten something like those.
Yeah, you can
I don't-
investigate. Roll an investigation check with
Advise.
disadvantage because you're not in close range.
Nakia! Nakia, I want to look at the fruit.
Oh, okay. I walk up to the fruit.
Yay!
How close are you gonna get?
How close to
Nakia, you're in charge of this one.
How? Wait, I'm confused.
How
The
close
twitchy
are you?
thorns, and there's a big tree with fruit on it near the side of the road. She can get close enough almost to grab one, maybe a foot or two away. But you'd have to get pretty close to the plants at the side of the road that do weird twitching and have their scary red thorns.
I mean, why don't you use your mage hand to do that?
Because I don't want to touch it until I know what it is first.
Well, you
That's
won't,
why you use
because
your
you
mage
use mage hand.
I can't see with my mage hand. It's a hand.
Yeah, you just grab it with your
and you
mage
bring
hand.
it close and look at it.
Okay, well,
TM's over there doing the card face palm again.
I see where she's coming from, but I also see where you guys are coming from here.
okay, fine. I'm gonna use my mage hand and try and pick one.
All right. Give me a dexterity check.
For the mage hand?
Yeah.
Okay.
What, you think the hand's just going to be like 100% accurate all the time?
Maybe. It is like no, it's not incorporeal. 18.
18?
Wait, is that a saving throw or just a regular dexterity?
Just regular.
Oh, that's 15 then.
Okay, that's fine enough. You managed to just pluck one off, and where are you going to bring it?
Closer to me.
Cool. So you bring it... Oh, I just want to know what this would even look like. You bring it towards you while you're riding on Nakia's shoulders.
Yeah.
I'll
And
drop it on my head.
it's within a couple feet of you. You make an investigation check now.
Yes.
Okay. Give me a roll.
The other one's better. That's fine. I think that's 18.
Okay.
Yeah.
You see, it's got kind of a citrus-like peel around the edge. It's kind of like an orange. The rind is similar to that, and it's a pretty rich, kind of red. And you know, there's some squishy to it, and that's most of what you get.
That looks really tasty.
Don't eat that.
You should taste
Warren,
the cue
like-
and see if it's poisoned.
Don't do that.
You want to try and kill me? If Bran wants to eat it,
Yeah, you can give it. Bran can see if it's
do
poisoned.
you want to try taste?
Don't eat that. I don't even know what it is, but I have a strong distrust of anything on these weirdo thorns.
This is a crossroads for Bran. He has to decide who's more trustworthy in the party.
Well, you got all these lovely papers from Q.
I know. Isn't that so nice?
She's so nice. And here now she's offering
As one of
you
the few
fruit.
people who's actually been taught how to read and probably had to deal with bookkeeping, you're probably not entirely an idiot about what an IOU means.
No, that's true.
I mean, she's being so
Just
nice.
I'm giving you it out if you want one.
She's giving you paper. She's giving you fruit. She just wants to be your
Because
friend.
now I'm trying to convince you, and I'm just like, someone must stand for Bran, even if it's me.
This was a much smaller gap, and I believe all that happened was that Bran decided he was going to eat the fruit, and he was able to successfully peel it with his dagger.
Mine is this sort of kind of very pale white,
Okay.
and
Is it segmented
it's kind of it's a bit segmented, but it also has a bit of that crisp inside that you're not really like. It's not, kind of almost apple-like in the amount of like it kind of crunches a little bit,
Okay.
but it's just a little less crunch than maybe you're used to.
It's an or apple.
All right. Well, Bran's nobody's fool, so he's going to cast protection from poison on himself.
Ooh.
Is
Ooh!
that
Alright.
a cantrip?
Nope.
Oh boy.
It's a
Well,
second level spell slot.
there it goes.
How long does that last, though?
To be fair, his character doesn't know necessarily.
Okay. Protection from
Magic is all
poison.
weird.
I touch a creature myself. If it is poisoned, you neutralize the poison. If more than one poison afflicts the target, you neutralize the poison, blah, blah, blah. For the duration, the target has advantage on saving throws against being poisoned and has resistance to poison damage.
Yeah, could
Lasts
be
for an
useful.
hour.
Cool.
You should eat the fruit and then cast it on yourself.
No, because what if the fruit's fast acting? You gotta think ahead.
Seriously, come on.
I get it. So you cast the spell on yourself. You feel kind of the impurities that you're maybe used to. Maybe some of the food wasn't as good as you thought, and you feel a little bit better just in general. And you're gonna start biting in?
Yeah, I am.
All right.
I'm definitely.
You
gonna
bite
watch
right in,
see if
and
anything happens.
yeah, nothing seems to be too wrong.
Tasty.
It actually tastes pretty good.
Guys, it's tasty.
Don't eat it.
Let me see. I'm gonna make a roll here.
He cast a spell on himself before he ate that.
But did
Wow.
you know that?
All right.
I didn't tell anyone I was casting a
That's
spell.
fair.
Yeah.
That's true.
You just see him kind of do something with his hand to himself and then take
Is it a verbal spell?
No touch.
Only
You touch yourself.
It's not even V? Yes.
Yeah,
I guess.
it's just a touch. Oh, it's
I
a
guess
V.
I
Yeah,
can't
it's visual.
protest it.
It's
That's verbal,
verbal.
and then somatic, and then material.
Yeah.
So verbal.
So I
you
guess it
say
would have been.
words.
Yeah.
Somatic, you do.
But
stuff
nobody really
with
pays
your
attention to him
hands.
anyway, so.
All right. You get this. Don't share it.
Paying very close attention.
Nobody else knows.
Oh.
Two people are watching you do this as somebody
Yeah,
tried to stop you.
Definitely like
One person
watching
doesn't
you.
cry.
Okay, yeah, so I would have, sorry, you guys would have heard it. You're right. It's verbal and somatic.
Yep.
Can you tell
It
if
tastes
you've been
I didn't know what the
exquisite.
V's and S's meant.
It is the
What?
best fruit you've ever eaten.
Guys, good fruit. Tastes good. Tastes real good.
Can you tell if if it was poisonous? If it should have been?
Nope, I cannot tell.
The spell grants immunity, not knowledge. There's detect poison, which I think is only first level, or it's a cantrip.
I should have had that. I don't have that.
That said, this is even better because this means that you could use other things to check and then just be like, haha, invincible.
Yeah.
Should
Literally,
I eat
like
it?
this could prevent you from
Should you
dying.
eat it?
It's a
was
better spell than
tasty,
you
so
No,
you
no,
guys agree.
I am not dissing the spell at all.
Good.
It's just kind of sad
Good.
that we don't know if
Cool.
it was.
I know,
What?
right?
Cool. Should I eat it?
Don't eat
I mean,
it.
if you want to try.
No.
He says it was pretty good, and I mean,
Well, I
want
mean,
me to
he's
pick
got it now.
another
You
one?
want to try and eat from the same fruit? I mean,
I would eat from the same fruit, but should I eat it?
No.
I mean, if you want to.
I think it's pretty tasty.
well, there's
we
another
got a
fruit
cleric
just in
right
reach.
here.
You could easily mage hand another if you
Yeah,
want.
I can totally grab another one if you want.
Hey, Bran, did you eat the whole thing?
No.
If it was.
I'll eat the other half.
Actually, no. I would have kept eating it. It was really tasty.
Yeah.
I'm pretty sure I'm about finishing up by now because you guys are talking so much.
Okay, grab me a fruit. I'm gonna eat it.
Okay, I mage hand and grab
What's
another
your
one.
passive perception, by the way?
Passive perception. Let me tell you.
I don't know Bran's passive perception. I need to actually write this down. That's why I'm asking, by the way.
15.
Hey, it's almost as high as mine.
It's got really high wisdom.
As a cleric, that sounds like a pretty good idea. Cool. Good to know.
Yep.
It's not like I have plans or anything. Anyway, so you're gonna eat one as well?
Yes.
All right. Give me a dexterity check on peeling it. I just like making people do checks, but I also
And that
do
one.
weird things.
Critical Vamor.
That one, I'm peeling the thing.
Oh boy.
You grab this fruit in your hands and you just you crush it because you're trying to get like the fine. There's this little like almost peel lips at like one side
Yeah,
of
I
it,
like put my thumbs
and you
on
try
it.
to get it, and then instead of going like this, you go smash, and it just splurts all over the place, and
Who's like,
there's like little
"Ah!"
chunks. And there's a little snap too. The core's like broken inside. The whole fruit's been basically pulverized, and it's hard to like to mess with it now. It's just a messed fruit.
I
Alright.
start kind of taking the taste on my hand to see how it tastes, and if it tastes good, then I'll get another.
Well, that depends. How good are you at dealing with bitter fruits?
Bitter?
Mhm.
I don't know.
Horseradish.
I don't like the taste of it, but
So
it's
that's
not
the
bad.
taste. But now you understand the taste.
Imagine that, but 10 times stronger. That's what you taste.
Ooh, that's a little strong. I don't think I want another one.
See, tasty, right? I'm telling you.
Is anything wrong with you? Do you feel like you're gonna kill over and die?
I mean, my mouth is a little hot.
Well, I
but
haven't killed
other
over a
than
head
that-
yet, so.
Well, you did cast
You cheated.
a poison thing.
Okay.
So.
Did I do that?
Thank you. Pass me one.
You want one?
I'll take one. He tasted sweet. He's got better. I want to see what it'll do for me.
Oh, here, let me peel that for you.
I'll
I'll peel it for
Use
her.
a mage hand and grab another one.
Okay.
We're gonna spend like 3 hours on this tree.
This is now a competition to Koo. And she's taking account of who wins.
Alright,
Bran's
I
gonna
will.
intercept the fruit and peel it for you.
Oh, but I wanted to try and use my rapier on it.
Oh, okay,
'Cause
she's
I
gonna
would've-
use her rapier on
I would
it.
have
Do
seen.
you know how big a rapier is? You
Do
pull
you
out a
want me to
sword
use
and
my
you're like,
dagger?
But it,
and
it
help
goes
you
up
with
in
that?
Even a dagger is
That's what
overdoing
happens,
it.
by the way.
Alright, so yeah, well, I got rid of my daggers.
I've got daggers.
That's okay, I want to use the rapier because I want to see how skilled I can be with it in peeling this fruit.
All right, give me a dexterity check.
I like this.
I just like how I'm actually doing stuff here, and everyone's like, "This will be useless," and I'm like, "This might kill you all." But then again, otherwise it would be boring, so I have to make it
I've
interesting.
got an
So
11.
good.
He has the red book.
To peel it?
Oh no.
11.
Yeah.
Yeah, for peeling.
11? Not bad. You peel it, it's pretty normal. You manage to get the stuff off, nothing crushed or anything, and then not nearly as embarrassing. You see what you see before, it's much like the other fruits. You know, there's a bit of a weird, like, almost oblong shape to the actual fruit if you pay attention to it, which it's not a perfect circle. There's like a little, like, meh.
Kind
On
of
one side. Yeah, it's kind of like an egg, but like on the fat side. So it's like a little fatter.
Fat egg.
Trust me. I've been telling you from day one, this is super tasty.
Okay.
All right,
Hey,
And I
bro,
say day
you gonna
one,
bite into it?
like
Yeah, I'll
5
take it.
days.
What's
All
your
right,
dog's
bite into
name?
Rocks.
I have like this messy hand, so I'm just kind of gonna drop my hands down and hope for Bronx to.
He's a
Clean them
smart.
off.
He's a smart dog.
Well,
I
let
don't
me
know-
roll a will save for her dog.
Well,
That's a nat 1. Dog wants it.
Oh no, Bronx, no!
And that way that all dogs can, he manages to like sideline glance you and do like the little stiff like avoidance, and he manages to get around when you're busy, and manages to like do the whole little tongue thing and everything, and then he kind of gets this like look about it.
Didn't like it apparently.
didn't like it,
No.
so I'll just rub the rest off. On
Dogs
my hands
usually
or
aren't into
something.
bitter things.
Down there.
You bite in, and let me roll. Okay, interesting.
We're all gonna be infected except for
Warren.
Warren and Koo.
Koo's just like taking notes in this competition now.
I
Okay.
tell you guys, I really liked it. So.
I warned every single one of you.
That's okay.
This is really fun.
Yeah, Nakia, how do you feel now?
Not much has changed.
No? The fruit didn't do anything to you, huh?
I don't think
Well, there's
so.
a lot of writing going on.
Look, I have to do things.
We just all stare at Burl. To see if
What?
anything happens. Well,
I don't know
what
yet.
do you think?
I don't know yet. I'm still waiting for it to kick in.
How creepy is this like forest thing we're in?
Well, there's fog, there's creepy vines, there's plants that move and grapple human persons, and
And fruit that we don't know if it tastes good or not.
exactly. I'd say that's kind of creepy.
Okay, so nothing's out of the ordinary.
Just your normal everyday adventure to walk into the forest.
Okay. Here's what happens to you, and give me a Constitution saving throw.
Aye! Come on, dice.
You're gonna be the only one that gets something
Not
bad.
bad. That is gonna be a 15.
Okay. You managed to get through without, like, it's pretty bitter. You realize that Nagia's probably undercutting it just because, you know, he's a Goliath and he has a legitimate immunity bonus to that,
Gotcha.
and you don't.
True.
So there's
That's true.
kind of a bit of a nasty going down.
Can I roll an investigation check to see if I understand what's going on with her?
Do roll it, and that happens, and you feel just kind of a bit dizzy for a bit, but other than that, you seem
I got a
fine.
20.
Okay, maybe a
Well,
little
that's a continuous effect. That's gonna be
dizzy
going.
and a little nostalgic,
I got-
so probably be humming
So
as we're
same-
going along.
Yeah.
It's the same with me.
Mhm. Yours is persistent. Yours is persistent. Yours is persistent.
How
Oh,
persistent?
So I
Until the next long rest,
So
at least.
I rolled
Oh,
a
boy.
20 to investigate with her. Then I rolled a 20 to investigate with her to see if I can
Not bad,
understand
not bad.
what's going on.
Burl's, what's going on with Burl? Burl seems kind of a bit. She seemed like that went down really poorly, like it wasn't very tasty or palatable. You do notice that she's kind of got a little song under her breath. She's kind of like humming a bit.
I'm gonna turn to Warren and be like, I think it just must be a human thing. You just gotta, humans gotta taste it.
No, I think
Not
it's
to be racist or anything, but
Is that really how
I don't
Brad's
know,
gonna
can I
be?
hear that?
I'm pretty sure. I'm pretty sure humans like this and other non-humans don't.
I mean, and to be fair, his sample size does suggest this
Because
data.
it was tasty. Let me tell
Maybe
you.
Warren should try it now.
Absolutely not. And never.
Are you sure? I
No.
can get one easily.
Don't ever
Do you
get
want to
another
try
one.
one? Okay.
She's just
Alright,
having fun
Everyone's
with
tasting
everybody
it?
else.
Is everyone still enthralled by these interesting fruits?
I think Bran is gonna grab one.
You're gonna grab one?
Well, get one through you.
Okay.
Okay.
And then he's gonna hold it out to Warren and be like, one of us.
I slap it.
The fruit's on the ground.
I stamp
The
on
peel,
it.
okay, you stamp on. There's a, and there's kind of like small It's not really juice. It's not really like guts. It's just sort of the mixture of like a squished apple. It's just kind of like
I look him in the eyes
chunks,
the whole time.
wet chunks.
Koo is definitely laughing under her breath at
Okay.
this. And
Alright, let's
loves
continue.
watching it.
All
What
right.
happened?
I was joking with Warren and being like, one of us, one of us. And then Warren hit it on the ground and smashed it.
Oh, I thought
She
somebody
threw it
slipped
on
on
the
a
ground.
banana peel.
He threw it.
I
He's
slapped
an
it.
adult.
I slapped it out of his hand.
He
Okay.
said, "Man, I ain't part of the system."
You
You
can't
are all
buy
dumb.
me. All right. You guys move on. The fruits still pop up every now and then on the trees. And the road gets smaller and smaller and smaller, and the road behind you gets harder and harder to like follow. It's getting a bit weird here.
Okay.
As the mist starts to get thicker and thicker, and
I'm still holding up.
basically now you can only see about 50 feet behind you and 50 feet in front of you. And yeah, it's getting exciting.
Does anybody have a map?
Who's
Like,
got
I
some-
do.
Buy a good. Is it a good map? Is it zoomed in enough that we can make our way there if we get lost in
Well,
this
it's a
fog?
map of the world.
Okay.
It's not the world, it's
So-
just of Yenthethia.
Of
But still,
Ezekiel.
not enough to determine individual roads very well.
I'm assuming not.
It's got a bit of precision there, a bit of inhuman precision, but yes, it does not have every road. It does have this one, though, still.
Has anything changed on the map? I don't know if it actually changes.
Have you looked at the map?
I will pull out the map and look at it when he asks that.
Fair enough. Give me a perception check. Just to make sure
There it
that
is.
nothing happens.
Hiya! That's gonna be a no.
Yeah, you don't see anything new about it. It
It's
seems
only
pretty
6.
much the same.
Any more interesting things that we can observe as we continue?
You know, you actually do see a few things. You know, part of this road is just... There's odd potholes, there's... In the thorns, there's a couple, figures. Most of them are, probably people who died. And their just bones are just left in the thorns.
With my mage
That's
hand.
promising.
Clutched, tightly. Almost lovingly in the thorns, really. It's a little too much.
Can I mage hand the corpses to see if there's any gold?
Oh, there's dead bodies.
Okay. You're gonna just try to, grope around through... Okay, I'll give you that. Give me a dexterity. In fact, just give me a sleight of hand check.
Okay, sleight of hand. That is a 21.
Alright, now give me an investigation to make sure you can actually figure out what you're feeling.
Nat 20. I know gold, man.
At levels that you probably shouldn't be able to do, you manage to like rifle through, just kind of like crawl around this kind of skeleton that's got these vines growing through it. You're kind of like rubbing little fingers in eye holes, just like everywhere, all up in this skeleton's business. And you manage to actually find just kind of near the, kind of deeper into the thicket and underneath plants, you manage to kind of rifle near it, and you do manage to kind of rub a few coins. You know, maybe a couple pieces of metal too. You know, just seems like old things that have had the bags long decayed from them. So you kind of getting like, yeah, okay. I'm feeling what used to be someone's stuff.
I'm feeling what's been put down.
Yeah.
Well, can I grab them and bring them back
You
to
can
me?
absolutely try. You grab and you manage to scrounge up a few coins. There's about 5. They're kind of dirty. It's hard to tell what they are from a distance.
Just five coins in general.
5 coins. They seem pretty small. They're actually marked with, you know, just normal coinage marks, nothing crazy. But they're just super worn and dirty. And it looks like they must have been either, like, 2 of them were copper, 3 were silver. You know, not the craziest haul, but, you know.
But it's something. Wait, what? How many were?
2
You say
copper.
2 copper, 3 silver. And 1 very grumpy skeleton who, frankly, is upset that you did not ask them out before you did that.
I didn't know it had a mouth to ask. Well, one that
It
moved
probably
out.
has a jawbone that's somewhere in the vines.
Hey, you know, just racking up the guilt shame points.
So was there anything else besides potholes and skeletons?
Not really on this part. Just more potholes, more skeletons,
Increasingly ominous.
and an increasingly small road.
Yeah.
Which seems to have gone both directions now, because the way you came from seems to be just as small.
Hey.
So I'm gonna look back and be like, hey, is that map of yours show any towns between here and Dornmura or whatever?
I mean, I can look again.
It does not.
No,
Nope, it does
the,
not.
The big fancy place that we're trying to get to. What's that one called?
Dornmura.
No, past that.
the beach
Bloomgard.
resort place.
Yeah.
Bloomgard.
Bloomgart.
Yeah, Bloomgard.
Between here and Bloomgard, and not including Dornmura, are there any
Respect.
any
Sorry, you got it right. I was like,
towns in between?
Let me look. Are there any towns between?
there's quite a few, but a lot of them are just small villages that are just literally marked by like the V. They don't even mark names for small villages. They're just little V's.
And
There's a couple little V's.
There's about 4 on the way that are small
4.
V's, and then there's one that's kind of like a small name that's just like town.
Yeah.
Great. I was gonna.
Yeah, it's probably just backwater town. People haven't updated it very much. Could have a different name, you know.
Hey.
I think Bran's going to be very intrigued by the fact that this is like magically shrinking and you're going to continue on.
I just assumed that we were all walking as we were talking.
Oh yeah, you
Well,
guys
of course
can
I'm
do
not
that.
walking. I'm on Naki's
All right.
shoulders.
yeah.
It gets smaller. Hours seem to pass for a long time.
What's getting smaller?
Getting
The road.
Ah,
And also,
So now it's about 5 feet wide. And so you guys step too far off. You guys are in these sort of grabbly plants.
Anybody have a tree cutter knife?
Machete? No.
Machete.
You know,
hey Ben, I rolled a 13 perception check. Do I notice anything behind me? I feel like I've noticed something.
But maybe not with a 13.
no, it's just there's a lot of complex things that happen. All right. So as you glance behind you, you see out of the corner of your eye just sort of something tall. That's it. That's all you see.
Guys,
Just the vague impression of some tall thing. That's it.
weird. There,
Yeah?
Yeah.
Over
I
there.
know I'm weird.
Use your words.
What do you want to say about it?
Use your words, Nakia.
Oh, there's just this weird thing over there. I could have sworn there was a person.
Over where?
Over there, right there.
I don't see anything.
I only rolled a 10, so.
I don't know if I see anything.
Again.
Everyone's just gonna go for
Yeah.
perception. All right.
I got a 15.
I did not.
You see nothing.
Or
You see nothing.
That was like a 6. So
And
I saw only 10, so.
you see nothing.
I'm like the one with the best roll.
Are you
and I
sure
saw
you're not
nothing.
going crazy?
I am absolutely.
It is foggy.
I had a 17.
That's true. I saw something. It could be nothing.
You, Bran, notices that there was a faint whisper on the wind through the bushes,
I
What if
hear
I
a whisper
roll-
on the wind.
What if
as
I,
if
And it
like some of
tells
the
me to
bushes
burn
were
things.
moving in perhaps a more uniform manner for just 1 second, and that's what you see.
what if
Guys-
I hold my mirror to the direction that Naki is pointing?
You see a cart and a pair of people just talking and a horse as they go by, and they just kind of go by and then they pass out of the range of the mirror.
Okay, but it doesn't reveal any tall figures.
It does not reveal a tall figure.
It's on my stained glass. As soon as she points her mirror, I go,
Nothing happens with
Yep.
that.
Well, guys, there's only one way to go.
I'm surprised you two haven't decided to try to combo that, but I figured you'll save that for something cool. Anyway,
comboing the.
just be like mirror and glass.
I say we continue onward.
It's a lens flare.
I ain't sharing my piece of glass. I got that in my crazy adventure.
So, we slowly begin resuming walking after Nakia's slightly nerve-wracking
I feel
statement.
like we're all on guard at this point.
Okay.
It's like it's designed for that. Anyway, so you guys keep walking, and every now and then, these sort of long black roots crisscross the path ahead of you. And every now and then, one or two branches are getting a bit too friendly with the path you're on. You know what I'm saying? There's like one or two branches that are just sort of like in the way. And you kind of slow you down. And that kind of, what do you guys want to do? There's a branch making it hard to like get around.
Well, I'm on top of Nakia, so.
Which makes it even worse.
I'm gonna cast Sacred Flame on it.
Okay.
Is that a cantrip?
It is a cantrip.
Ooh.
Clerics have good spells.
So it has to pass a dexterity saving throw.
Let me just do this. What's the dex throw against?
16.
Yeah, it fails. Go figure. What does Sacred Flame look like?
Its radiance descends from above and burns it with 3 damage.
So it's almost like sunlight pierces from like the mists and things around you. This sort of like bright light just hits on these branches, and then this sort of smoky white kind of like flames just start to light, and the branch just starts to like writhe just a little bit.
It's almost like when you put like a magnifying glass on ants.
It would take 2d8 damage, is what it
Yeah, and then it just sort of like starts to actually ignite, and the plant just like starts flailing rapidly, and then like drops to the ground.
Let's
And
not
it's
touch
just
that.
this burned branch on the ground that actually just seems to have gone like cut off from the rest of the thing, and now it's just this loose burnt branch.
Brad's gonna be like, hey, did you guys see what I did there? That's pretty good, huh? Thank you, thank you,
good.
thank you.
With the you've added some respect to your scrape that you've been showing off.
Thank you. Thank you.
You should poke it.
Carry on. Onward.
All right, you guys can all go through.
Okay.
Cool.
Yes?
Very nice.
Well, rather I will, and you'll go with me.
My exhaustion.
I'll be on top of your head.
Your exhaustion's still 1.
Okay.
That's
You've been
how it
riding
works.
your dog, right?
I've been riding the dog, yeah.
Yeah.
Okay,
So that helps a lot.
so carry on.
All right, as you guys keep going, the actual road is begun to just be grass, just deer trails, and plants, but it's not actually like you're not in the thorns right now. There's small plants that have managed to eke their way out and survive on this path, and there's stones and things that keep it sort of separate. It feels a bit odd. You've got a good enough wisdom. You've got a good enough wisdom. What are your guys' passive perceptions?
My passive perception is like 11.
And 12. Same.
All right, so now you guys notice. You two notice small markings on these stones along the path. They are, well, they're often drawn, sort of circles and lines, just in a very, deliberate pattern.
Can I try to figure out what they mean?
You can absolutely try to figure out what they mean. Roll. Give me an Arcana check.
I never get to use Arcana.
Surprise.
Oh, dang.
You rolled poorly for it,
I
too.
did. That's only a 7.
Can I roll an Arcana check?
Yes, you were supposed to.
Please do better than me.
Because I am skilled in Arcana.
So is she, but you never know how the dice are going to treat you.
That's a 9. So 14?
Alright, that's enough. You notice that these are very clearly protective symbols. These are symbols you put on the road to make sure that, the road stays the road. And that, weird things get off the road.
Alright, guys. So here's the deal. This is a magical protected road. And I will share that with my compatriots.
You also know that some of these symbols are not necessarily usually used in, major church groups. These are sort of backwoods survivalist, more the unofficial symbols. I wouldn't say pagan, but maybe a bit less popular.
Are they still active? Are they still protecting this?
It'd be you have all these weird traditions around the main religions.
I skipped that.
That it's like that. It's like the folk myth symbol. So you guys notice that, and
Yeah.
Okay.
that's what you notice.
Okay.
You go for what seems like even longer, but it's hard to tell. You can't see the sun.
Hey!
And there's sort of all these twists and turns. The road gets weird. It doesn't seem as straight anymore or intended anymore. But eventually it starts to widen up just a little bit more, and you end up sort of passing through where it seems to have been more of a choke point of thorns. And, you're starting to see a bit less, maybe thorns and more forests with terrible, horrifying-looking plants.
So how narrow is this choke point we're going to go through? Or
You already went through.
Oh, we went through, okay. So now it's like a forest with plants in it.
Yeah, less murder thorns.
Okay.
But it's still weird, and,
Just a perception check to see, does the choke point mean we've passed the wall of thorns that we heard about?
you would think so, yes. You think you found kind of a gap through it.
Okay.
It seems like there's ways through, but trustworthy, they may not always stay. So,
What kind of plants are we looking at around here?
Not really any thorns, right?
no, there's still pretty large brambles around. But every now and then you see trees that are tall and black. The bark goes all the way up, and they seem pretty solid. Their branches don't spread out much either. They just go into this almost, candelabra style branches that kind of eventually just go straight up. And that's kind of one of the major trees you've started to see in the environment. That's kind of what's going on.
That's weird.
There's any fruit on these trees.
None.
Oh.
These trees are barren as all get.
Are they,
Lacking forbidding.
Cool!
any animals or signs of life?
Perhaps signs of any structures? Are we close
You
to
do
the town?
occasionally hear more birds chirping now. Perhaps a little less ugly cawing and more a bit of a kind of light but noticeable bird calls. Just around. But they don't seem to be very, not tons of them anywhere yet. Seems kind of like they are being careful.
And the road, you mentioned deer trails earlier.
Yeah,
Has it
small-
clearly been one road that we've been following? Or were there branch offs and we're not sure if we're on the main road?
It'd be interesting to see.
Okay.
You think you're on the main road, but you're also like... There's a few spots there that it was a pretty good guess which direction was the real road.
Okay.
Okay.
Okay. We'll take the continuation of stones under our feet as a good sign.
I think so.
Okay.
Sounds good to me.
Unless you want me to check the map, but I don't think it's gonna say
Do
anything.
they still have the symbols on?
Hmm?
Does the path still have symbols on it?
Yeah, there's a few symbols as well, but they seem to be less frequent over here.
Okay, guys.
Just seems like they're a bit more scattered.
I say we trust the protected road. Keep
Yeah.
going.
Sounds good.
Damn.
Okay.
I see no reason to leave the path.
It's not dark yet, so we're not quite willing to make camp, so we carry on.
So you guys keep going, you keep going. Eventually, you come upon a point where you start to hear things. More importantly, you start to hear birds. Lots of birds. All kinds of birds. There's so much chirping going on, it's just almost deafening.
There's a doo-doo-doo-doo-doo and the
And then you hear like,
Is it like Rio?
as you hear like tons of birds just fly away, but all the chirping doesn't stop, just tons of flying and then more chirping in a different spot that's similar to where you're hearing it from, just sort of up ahead and towards your guys' left. And that's kind of what you start to hear. You guys, what do you do?
Hark.
A bird?
Noises.
I want to inspect the birds, but I'm also worried that they will try to murder us.
Can we see them or can we just hear them?
You can hear them from here.
Okay.
Let's see.
I don't know, this could be a good sign, but could also be a very bad sign.
Yeah, this is kind of a strange place with birds.
No.
So
I have nothing to do with birds.
can we see the birds? Is that evident?
yeah.
Who amongst the group, as I am new to the party, has the keenest eyes? Who
Not
could see
I.
what was going on?
She's got the best perception.
Yeah. She's got the best passive.
I've got the best passive.
Okay, so I'm going to reach up and touch Ku and cast guidance.
Try it.
So once before the spell ends, which it lasts for a minute, the target can roll a d4 and add the number rolled to one ability check of its choice. So I get an extra d4 on your perception check, so you can see when you see something.
So you want me to do a perception check right
Yeah,
now?
take a look. See what the noise is all about.
Plus an added d4.
The birds. Yes. Yes.
Birds and the bells.
There might be able
Yes.
That'd be a 16.
Not bad. Okay, so you see up ahead there seems to be birds up ahead about 200 feet through the thickets and trees and all that kind of blocks your vision. But you just kind of get glimpses of where the birds might be. Just seems up forward, slightly towards the left of the road. You know, you're not really sure what kind of birds because it's a ways away and it's really foggy still.
There's a lot of birds about 100 feet away. I don't know what kind they are, but they're about like there-ish.
So guys, do we continue to the birds?
Might as well.
to.
I can
Yeah.
cast sparkles at them.
She
That's
could?
very useful.
Are the birds in front of us?
Yeah,
Yeah,
to
they're
the
ahead.
ahead and to the left, about
Thank
100
you.
feet.
You should use your prestidigitation and light one of them on fire.
I mean, yes, but I feel like I can only do
There's a range on how
fire
much
to-
fire you can do.
candle torch and yeah.
I
No,
mean,
it's not that you can light anything on fire. The
Can
thing
I?
is, it has to be like, it's a small fire. It might just go out. It might just be like you singe something mildly and make it really upset. Or you also have a reach. It can't go more than like 30 feet from you.
Yeah.
So like you can't just be like snipe something and light it from like a mile away, which would be cool, but you can't do it. I'm
I
sorry.
mean, if you were to start some kindle on fire, you might be able to start a forest fire, but it'd take a little
Let's
while.
not do that.
So I think Bran would continue on and advance towards this thing, but be
I
cautiously.
have.
Yep.
Well, as long as it's on the road path, I'm fine with that.
Yeah.
We should pass at least very close to it.
All
as
right.
we keep to
So you guys advance forward a ways
cautiously.
as you walk, and this starts to become more and more vision as you start to pass more and more trees. Some of these trees are pretty tall and pretty thick, but you do manage to see, and you start to see these sort of groves of kind of light, almost bluish leaved trees, and just birds are loving these plants. They are all over these plants, and they're these sort of almost circular trees. They're a little bit too circular, really. I mean, welcome to nature. But they've got this nice orb shape. It's almost like sort of a bell shape, and then they kind of cut off towards the ground. And sort of there's these long, like strand-like weeping willowy sort of tails hanging down. And the birds are just all over these, so it's almost hard to tell what is bird and what is tree. And this is like 20, 30 feet off the road that you're on, and little stone paths kind of go around in this weird, like, zigzaggedy pathway by it.
How many trees are we talking?
There's about 5 or 6. And, inside them there's, like, these little... there's these around the roots, there's all these little gathered shiny things and things that birds would have grabbed and chucked into one spot.
They're shiny things?
They're all shiny
I was
things.
waiting for that.
Definitely casting like a sparkle effect for prestidigitation to try and see what it'll do with the birds.
Where are you doing it to?
Right, like by the tree where the birds are.
Just a
Are you
little
trying to
sparkle
draw
in the
them
air.
away to see if they go
Yeah,
after
just
them?
like little.
All right, you
Pops
do,
light.
and while the birds are chirping, and a lot of them are chirping all over the place, some of the birds just stop and they just sort of stare. You get that, like, that side look for the birds too, when they're like, I'm really into it, but it looks like I don't.
Bran will preemptively reach over to Ku and cast Spare the Dying. For no other reason. She's not dying, but, because she's about to be.
Are you sure that works?
That doesn't do anything.
Yeah, that's what I thought.
Yeah.
Just in case.
I'm also going to cast Mage Hand while they're distracted by the light and figure out what the shiny things are.
Okay, it's really hard to get like a good read from distance because you don't really feel. So you got really lucky before, and I'm gonna let you kind of get off easy on this because you rolled so well. But when you grip it, you don't actually feel the hand as like a legit hand,
Yeah.
but you're able to like kind of like sense little differences in how heavy it is, how this and that, and you're kind of like, okay, so here's some coins, here's what might be a hammer, here might be like something that was on something. This is like junk, this is like a bottle. This is like, some of this is just junk, and it's hard to really like figure out what exactly it is because it's all sort of piled together, and the birds have all decided to like throw feathers on it. And junk to like kind of like
And there's so much
probably
bird
because
poop.
there's so many birds. There's
so
actually
much
not as
bird
much
poop
bird poop as you'd think.
Okay.
It's actually rather just clean feathers there.
There's something wrong with this situation.
I'm gonna grab a handful still and bring it back.
Right. You kind of
Where's
like
the
sift
food?
through. You kind of grab a few things. You kind of grab one that you think has a few coins in it. Yeah, because I know you. You kind of drag it back to you. You can't take too much because it's all pretty heavy.
Okay.
The birds aren't super upset about it, but they are kind of staring at it like, is that coming back?
Well, this is Warren's area of expertise in like animals and stuff, right?
Is it?
This isn't this your area of expertise, Warren?
It is, yeah. I
Give
don't know
me
if
a
I get
nature
any
check.
bonuses, but let me see.
I'm
back.
proficient, but I have like absolutely average wisdom, so I'm above average
It's
with.
funny because
What do you get with?
wisdom's
I mean, I'm proficient with survival and animal handling, but I have like +1, so it's +4, so it's not all that
Let's see.
much.
Okay, I'm gonna roll an animal handling check just to kind of figure out what these birds are thinking, what they might do, how violent they might be. Since people are looking at me expectantly, it was a 15.
Oh, not bad. So you roll a 15. These birds are kind of weird. They're a bit too blue for anything you normally find, at least not that you're used to. These birds have this sort of light blue plumage. It's almost cloud blue, and it's very pretty. They also seem to be a bit kind of long. They have weird, almost peacockish looking feathers and stuff that they do kind of occasionally like flaunt, but it's like a low key flaunt, like a little flaunt on the side, but not all the time. And
I'm loving these birds.
you know, they do have a bit of a kind of a classic beak. You're pretty sure that beak could be used to like crack nuts or bite things that are smaller than it for food. Classic bird things. Okay. You know, it's hard really to get a read on them though. There's a lot of them. It seems a bit weird that there's so many. Like that's kind of like birds, really.
Yeah.
So, what did I grab?
Well, okay. You grabbed a couple small nails, 3 kind of old bronze nails, actually, just cheap bronze. And then you grabbed about 4 coins. They're all bronze. They're all copper, kind of classic. They're all worn and old. And you also grabbed a small kind of like... It's like a brooch or something. It would have been something you like have worn or put on clothing or something. But you're not really sure exactly because you're not familiar with this. It's kind of an old-fashioned and something you find in old people's stuff. And you're probably not super versed in it because it's old to you. It's probably ancient to everyone else here.
This is pretty old.
So, I'm not sure that I like the looks of these birds. They're not raptors, but there's a few too many, and they seem to be two of one mind. If we angered one, or one decided to attack, they all might attack, and we have no way to shelter ourselves from it.
They're like
Can I keep one as a pet?
It's like the pizza
I would
on
not
the-
advise that.
I'm just thinking the
There's
Yeah, I
something
say
a little
we-
odd about them.
So she's just my
Give them a
ear-
wide
my
berth.
collective.
I say we leave the animals, the birds.
Org?
Have you not seen
I
Star
mean, we can continue on the path.
I say we
We
continue
might
on
have to
path.
go wide around them, though.
makes
Aren't
me
they pretty
sad.
close to the path?
They're pretty close. If you want to avoid being in like 20 feet of them, you're going to have to go
Dwarf
off the
was
path
kind of
to get around. But, you know, you'll pass, you'll go within like 15 feet and go by as you kind of pass by.
they would take people.
Okay.
Yeah, I say we stay on the path.
Assimilate them, like force them into the.
So, as we walk, I'm going to ask Ku, you're here looking for what exactly? Why did you want to come here again?
Huh?
Why did you want to come here again?
Oh,
Exactly?
because someone stole my civic justice?
Virtue.
Virtue.
Sorry,
What does that
what?
even mean?
So you think
Bran's
someone
like,
who
"What's that?"
stole your civic virtues
Someone
here?
stole my civic virtue.
And you think they're here?
I have a map that says that they might have visited here.
Well,
So civic virtue, is that like doing good things?
It's like her conscious.
Conscience.
Not quite. It's like a group. My conscience for a group, like voting and doing.
Her ability to
community
care
work.
for the good of the whole is not
Yeah.
a thing she has.
Oh, I was like, she lost her ability to vote? So this is like
Yeah.
suffrage? Like, this is like...
She lost her green card. No. But,
Essentially.
you know, the whole idea is that she no longer has the emotions to care for, like, if the group is doing well, or if the town is good, or if any, like, rule is
so many of her
fine.
actions throughout this campaign.
I tell you, it's a thing.
We've been playing with it, so I hope it explains actions, and I'm going to be proud of
Okay.
this.
So was it a sorcerer who took your civic virtue?
Have we talked about whether she knows or not if it was a god? She knows his name's Brandobaris.
I did, pin you down and be like, so what?
A strange
happened?
one called Brando Barras showed up and took it.
Yeah.
Is basically what she would describe.
She knows.
And do you get the sense that that's a god?
It just seems like something a god or some.
Or something
It's
powerful.
very
Something
supernatural.
powerful. Yep.
You don't normally this is the classic I'm an evil wizard. I'm gonna steal your civic virtue. Like that's not normal.
Especially since Sometimes most people
Demons and
don't.
devils, maybe, but not necessarily sleazy wizards.
But most people don't believe her when she says that her civic virtue's gone.
Yeah, it seems like a total lie.
We followed you this
Not gonna
far,
lie.
but I'm just trying to figure
It's
out
a
what we're
true
doing
thing.
next.
It seems like an excuse for poor behavior.
It
So
might
I
just
I managed only a 9
be in a
religion
real
check.
physical sense.
I managed only a 9 religion check. Do I recognize the name?
You do
Brandomaris?
not.
Okay.
I
so
probably should
how-
run a religion check too, because I'm probably listening to this.
I thought you weren't very religious of a cleric.
Well, but I'm not a religious cleric, but I have a +5 on religion.
Yeah, fine, roll it.
Oh, and I rolled a 2, so that's a 7.
So no.
Okay.
Perfectly balanced, as all things should be. Anyway,
But basically, I'm trying to decide what we're doing now. Now that we're here, do you know what? Like a symbol of him? What are we looking for?
I don't know. I've been looking for this guy for like 20 years.
What if you call out to him? Just be like, yo, Brandy guy!
I feel like I've done that and nothing happened.
Well, but did you do that in an area where he was?
I don't. This is the first time I've had a map that showed me where he was.
Exactly. So
This
maybe-
is what we're doing.
So try and call out to him.
We're not at Dornmura yet. We're on the pathway towards Dornmura.
Alright, well, when we get to Dornmura, then call out for him.
Okay, now that I know his name.
I thought Dornmura was inside of the Thornwall.
It's inside, but we're like on the city limits, right?
you're not even there yet.
We're not even there yet.
Okay.
Okay.
But like the thing is, Dornmura is a huge city, and also sort of the capital of what used to be a kingdom as well, named after the same. But also, Dornmura is actually literally the word for the giant wall of thorns around it.
Okay.
So, and that's not even really the official name. It's just sort of like everything has one name now because nobody's been dealing with it for a while.
Does the map show that we passed the giant wall of thorns yet, or are we still like getting to it?
I think it's a normal map that doesn't
The map doesn't show like little updating trackers for where you
Like,
are.
where's our GPS signal? That's what I'm looking for. No. I mean, like, do you know?
I don't know,
can get a
maybe you
read
could
on
pray,
where we are
Cleric boy.
as far as like.
I assume that little pathway that we passed through, that little hole was the hole in the wall.
Okay.
So I assume we're inside.
Okay. Cool. Well, that's check one, guys.
What is
I think
on
we
the
should
map?
celebrate.
What's on the map within the wall of the thorns?
Well, there's no villages.
Okay. Are there any details on the map, on her map?
There are a
Can you
few.
use?
You know, as you look at it, Dornmura was based around a large, kind of like the foot of a mountain. And so you guys would be coming at it from the opposite side of this mountain, so you probably expect things to be going downhill then uphill. It's kind of the natural like flow of what the map shows.
Okay.
You know, it's not in like a top-down like accurate map. It's literally like little hill drawings and like little reliefs.
Okay.
Cool.
It's more of a treasure map looking thing than it is any like, you know, specific like this is exactly where to go.
I think it's pretty evident that we just need to forge ahead to Dornmura.
Yeah.
But what are we even gonna look for when we get there?
I don't know.
Sounds
Problems?
Well, sounds like we'll just call out his
Treasure?
the guy's
I'm
name
looking
and
for
we'll
treasure.
be good to go.
Yeah.
Okay, so back to the birds then, I guess.
Well, or just walking down the path.
I say
Okay.
we walk past the birds.
Did nothing happen as we walked past the birds?
No, there isn't like anything crazy going on.
Out of
Okay.
curiosity, how's that wound on Burrow feeling?
It feels.
Last it was kind of
Woundy.
itchy and crawly. I don't know. Is that
After
still...
you took a long rest, it's still kind of. Yeah, every now and then you get kind of itchy, but it seems to have sort of settled down in the crawly department.
Okay.
It's hard to describe injuries when I'm like, there's so many ways you can feel, man. They change every time.
Yes.
I've had a few.
Okay.
Onward. We forge onward.
Tell me how.
I like this song. It's just
like
way
it a
too
lot,
peaceful.
too.
It's way too peaceful.
It's called Suspense, which makes me giggle.
It's more like awe is what I feel when I.
You get awe, but I'm getting like, it's like suspense in like a happy suspense, like Christmas present suspense.
It's like you're floating in a strange void of light, and you're like, what is this magical place? And you're
All
about to
right,
find out.
you guys keep going, and you two notice.
I feel like we're gonna get that a lot.
Just in a kind of there is something in the bushes a ways back.
Like following us?
Yeah.
Guys, there's something following us.
You don't get like a good thing, but you hear a little like shh.
I knew
What
it.
was that?
We're not alone.
There's something on the wing.
I'll just casually turn my dog around to where everybody's gesturing to and just be like, hello, who's
Or
out
shoot
there?
at it.
First, I have to make a perception check. Do I see anything with a 15?
Oh, you don't really.
Darn it.
I'm probably just gonna be like, Warren, shoot there. There, that.
So I'm gonna be just casual and non-threatening and just kind of call out all friendly like hello, who's out there?
Hello.
And let's see.
Oh no.
I think
What
I
is
see
that?
something, but it's not what you see. So
Yeah, you think you see something in the opposite direction. All right, and you hear your exact voice. Hello.
Somebody out there.
Like, I don't know. I'm
You
just
have-
trying to think of like the stupidest thing that you could say to hear it repeated back to
Do you have-
yourself.
Do you have a twin? Or, like, relatives around here?
No, but be like, hey! And just like, wait.
You hear like, hey, back.
What if I say,
It sounds exactly like you.
hey, burl number 2, come on out?
There's a little bit of like a pause, and then you get echoed as well.
Okay, so I'm echoed as well.
I'm gonna shoot a test arrow in there. It's a nat 20.
Shoot.
Just
is it like a
Where
warning
is-
arrow?
Do they both seem to be coming
shoot
from
first, ask
one
questions
source? Both the voices?
You take an excellent shot.
I mean, I'm still
I'm gonna
pointing
say,
at where I
hey,
saw
don't
them.
hit me.
The direction that Burl came from, you hear and there's this sort of like gasping shriek of air, and then there's silence. And
well, now you've done it.
but one of the from another direction, you hear that sound again, the flick of an arrow, and then the of whatever just happened.
Can I cast Mage Hand and see if I can poke anything where she shot the arrow?
You absolutely can. You cast Mage Hand, you reach out, you can send it up to 30 feet. It's just barely in your range. And you poke, and you're just messing around because it's kind of hard to see things. There's bushes and junk.
Pawing.
But you
Essentially just-
you eventually find the arrow, and you also find something fleshy.
Brad will turn to Warren and be like, what if there was a kid? What if it was like a kid making fun of us? Like, mimicking us?
This is not a place for a kid, and
You
that's
did
not
hit
a kid's
something.
behavior.
You could have killed a child.
You did hit some.
It's
Hey,
a-
Bran, you should go figure out what it is.
I'm gonna go investigate it.
Okay.
We are going to go investigate.
You walk over? You guys walk over? Okay.
I'm gonna go investigate it.
I go
Give me an
where Oscar
investigate check.
goes.
I'm going in the opposite direction.
That one.
Not one?
That one.
You kind of start investigating, and then you trip. And it's just really embarrassing. And
All the crawly vines.
You trip onto the fleshy thing.
Oh, I am so ashamed.
he doesn't trip onto like anything in
That's
particular. In fact, he kind of walked off to the side too. So he kind of tripped in a weird spot, and then he's just like, "Okay, this is
I like the one
stupid."
that gave me that.
And you take 1 bludgeoning point of damage. The shame.
I've hurt myself more than anybody else.
Okay, well,
No.
you have to guide us. Like, tell us where your mage hand is. Guide us toward it.
Well, Makia went the opposite direction, so.
Yeah, there's
It's
something this
pretty
way.
obvious that my Mage Hand isn't by your arrow anymore. If he moved
Alright.
off.
Try a perception check then, see if I can find it. Oh, that one was only a 4.
That's not good
so
enough.
happy.
This is behind us on the path, right?
Not on the path, just in bushes and trees and things kind of around the path, sort of.
Not yet. We have to
Especially
go
with
find
your guys'
Lauren's
rules, you
arrow.
don't know.
But the thing over there.
We have to find her arrow first, because she hit something and we need to make sure it wasn't a child.
I'm very much a man.
arrows.
It could be.
We need to make sure it's not a child that got hit.
Brandon's
It was
like
not
laying
a child.
Like, as you're
If
searching,
it was a child, it was like a monster child. So
It was
Hey,
a
Nokia,
creepy child.
as you went off and searched for a bit, you did feel like you saw a hand on a tree, and then you looked and it was just a root in the weird bark shape.
While they're all off investigating, I'm gonna yell out to where that other mimic thing was and be like, Burl is the greatest halfling that ever lived!
It's echoed, but now 3 more times.
Okay.
This time from maybe more directions.
Can Bran get up
a
at this
little
point
right
from the ground?
Yeah, you can easily get up.
I was just assuming he was like,
He's been laying
he's
there.
still his ground on the ground. He's like, but the children. And he's gonna get up and he's gonna still continue and forge onward. And
I need to know what that
he wants
was.
to go out and investigate.
All right, you get close. I assume you kind of know where it is.
Yeah.
Okay, so you guys get there and you kind of dig through some brush, but you do find it's one of those birds. It's got an arrow right through its face, and it's just pinned it to a tree, kind of root,
oh, this is
and
like the,
it's kind of just open beaked and just sort of dead.
Is dead or is it
It's
still
dead.
dying? Okay.
I mean,
It's
it's
so
an
dead.
arrow
this is
through
like
its head.
this is like
I'm
the
gonna
scene
cast-
from the Hunger Games.
I'm gonna cast Sacred Flame to burn its body, out of respect.
Okay.
I wanted very much to avoid the birds.
The
Well,
bird
let's
kind of
keep
like
going forward.
roasts a bit. You kind of get the sense of like chicken, and
Let's eat it.
I'm
but
gonna-
it's also got like that turkey like scent to it too. Like
Let's delete it.
Then I will bury it.
okay,
Oh.
I'm gonna.
it takes a bit of time to like dig something out, and the plants are kind of like wibbly wobbly and frustrating. But you do manage to kind of dig a little into the ground and kind of. You kind of have to take the arrow out of the bark and roots it's stuck into.
Yeah,
And it's just
I'll take
gross. Ugh.
I'll take that and clean that off.
Ugh.
Take off an
It's a
imaginary
mess.
hat. And put down the hood of my cloak in respect.
I'll say a few words.
Okay. What words does Bran have for us?
It's gonna be long.
It
I'm
was
gonna
one
take
of
this.
those.
While this is happening,
Yep.
I'm
Brand-
going
Yeah,
to
he's
yell, "Ha ha! You can't kill me! I'm a child!" And then listen.
You hear at least a couple of those just echoed.
Can you guys please stop?
You can't kill him.
You are
They said they're
really
a child.
inviting them to go.
I'll
You are
keep,
really inviting even worse things to keep happening.
I'll like keep calling out things.
No, stop. Definitely stop.
Burl's weird.
An enormous amount of stopping should be happening right now.
All 3 of us are just like in red.
Did you see me?
It's like, stop.
I shot a bird right in the face. I will do the same to you. Don't think I won't.
Nokia's a big doo-doo head.
No, I'm not.
It's all echoed. Even Bran's words for the dead bird are also echoed.
So are they just
Warren's
echoing everywhere?
incessant stop.
Are they just
Stop.
echoing? So my words are just echoing everywhere? Mm-hmm. Bran will just continue to talk.
Oh my goodness.
This is almost exactly like the mockingbird or mockingjay
Mockingjay.
thing from the.
Bran is now telling a story about a bird that he kept as a pet once when he was a child.
Oh my goodness. Okay.
Yeah.
I need to
I'll
come up with a name
probably-
for this small town.
Yell out a few things for like 5 minutes more
How
and then
about
I'll get
small
bored.
town? Literally just small town.
You grew up in a small town.
I grew up in
Came from
small
a small
town.
town.
Oh, I know. Small towns are hard. No. I grew up in small town. We got a lot of imitators. Sorry. Just
Okay.
funny talking about it.
So, guys, I mean, this is loads of fun after he's done. You know,
Mhm.
it took him like probably an hour.
Yeah.
We would
You're aware now that there is a bird staring at you.
like
No, we've been
all of us would have
home.
left for that entire hour that you're
One of the
talking.
bluebirds from the trees earlier
That's
that's
staring at me.
is staring at you. It's not very far away. It's like like 6 feet away, and its kind of head's popped out of like a little bush.
I will
It's
bow.
giving you the look like
I'm gonna bow to it in respect.
the bird kind of gives this little like bird nod.
And I'm gonna do the peace.
It makes the click and kind of like does the little wing thing the birds do, you know?
Yeah, nice. Okay.
Do I see?
I feel like we've
Stop.
bonded.
Doing
I
this.
really want to try and get a bird to
No.
come over here.
No.
All right.
Anyway, so as you're doing that, though, you notice that the bird also kind of hops over to where the dead bird is and was buried, and it's just kind of like looking at like the kind of small grave, just like
With that bird look.
you know, just beak straight up.
It's better not.
You know, the
bird
least
damage.
effective combat position ever invented.
Oh my goodness.
Yeah.
And I will shed a tear with this bird for its fallen comrade.
This bird cannot cry. It has no tears.
It'd be very funny.
It must be crying on the inside.
It'd be very funny if it just starts screaming at you. And
You can give me an insight check if you want to figure that out.
Because you killed the one bird.
That is a 11.
And it's a little bird, maybe it's sad. I don't know. It's a bird, man. What do you think?
Okay.
All right.
So, can I go back to the path? I'm gonna go back.
Yeah, you go back to the path.
Do I
Okay,
see
we
a
are
bird?
passing through the Valley of the Shadow of Death.
I love how you treated those birds like they were some kind of like Tarrasque.
I still want to persuade a bird to come over.
We have seen the movie. We know what birds can do.
I actually have
Do not invite this to happen. They are creepy birds imitating our noises.
I like it.
And you're the one.
I can think of
killed
so many ways to
their
help in
comrade.
my heists.
If anyone's in trouble,
Let's not invite these things to come kill us, so let's kill one of their own and get them mad and come and attack us.
Oh yeah, sure. Like I
we're
knew.
all safe. It's
And
just
not an imminent attack, like about to happen, and I gotta jump on one.
I'm just excited that Warren. This is again not coming from my character, but this is the first time Warren's actually impulsively shot somebody.
Spooky echoes in the fog.
This is Warren's real element.
Warren's gotten out of.
Out in the wilderness where nothing can be trusted and everything should be shot at.
Alright. Bran's gonna, those birds are awesome, but he's gonna let them be, and he's gonna continue on the path.
It's like we're walking away. I'll give one more shout out.
I will push
What do
you
you
off
shout?
that dog.
Something about Burl being awesome and great and the most awesomest person that ever lived.
Okay.
This is echoed. The end.
It's echoed, but perhaps a few times less than before.
Aw.
I want to say, come be my friend.
It's echoed.
come be my
I
friend.
want to persuade them to.
Yeah, good luck with that.
Bran's gonna chant one of us as he walks away.
Try holding out gold
One of us.
versus the bronze that you took.
One of us.
One of us.
They like those.
One of us. Oh, I go around us.
I hold up a bronze piece as Warren says that. Here, birds. Here, birds.
Give me a perception check.
She really wants birthday.
She so wants one, but I don't know if she's
That's a
getting
16 right there.
Yeah.
That's
So you barely see in the
20.
distance. You see the one that perhaps that Bran was talking to. His head just pop up and gives you the look for a moment, and then slowly slides down behind this branch,
But you can sense that it's still watching you.
even through the branch. There is no cover.
Its eye still follows you, even with the branch in the way.
With that empty bird stare, just the eye, the pupil does not move. It's just like. All right.
As Nakia walks away, I'm like, bird. Bird.
Come here, baby.
Okay, we are.
All right.
We're just lucky to be alive.
No, that was fun. Birds.
All right. So you guys keep going on. I assume.
Yes.
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 Okay. Everyone keeps going on, and things seem pretty normal. More trail, more little rocks, classic things. Deer paths start to wear out a bit though, and the stones are fewer and fewer, and symbols harder and harder to spot.
Are we climbing the mountain at the moment? Have we gone down?
Yeah, you kind of climbing, sort of. You're going climbing around the side of a small hill, and then you're gonna go up hills in the future.
Yeah.
Okay.
So you're kind of climbing the mountain, but the long way.
There's still more of those trees and brambles.
More
and
of those trees, and as you've noticed, occasionally those trees get really big. Some of those tall black trees as well, they get hundreds of small spire-like branches that go straight up. There's a little bit of wiggly wobbly in the branches, but they go almost exactly up.
Are they pointed at the tips?
They are slightly pointed. They taper like most branches.
Okay, does anyone want to climb a tree and see where we are?
In the fog?
I assume the tree would go above the fog, maybe.
Alright, well,
Just
I'm
worth
still...
a shot, I mean.
Who
like,
has
we're
best climbing?
But the thing is
Not
my
me.
exhaustion going to affect my climbing abilities?
Exhaustion
will.
1?
I know it affects my
athletics
movement
isn't
distance.
Yeah,
that
you'd be
bad.
halved on ability checks.
That it doesn't affect.
What,
Yeah, it does affect you here. It just doesn't affect
what
movement right now.
ability check?
Movement is exhaustion 2.
Yeah.
And she's only at 1 right now because I'm merciful.
What, like all ability checks?
All ability checks.
Oh boy. That feels-
It does not say all, it says on ability checks.
I
It
need,
sounds even more absolute on there.
I need to start counting that. Does anybody have one of those cure disease things as a cantrip?
It's not a disease, but it's a
It's a
minor
Minor.
restoration
Yeah, that thing.
or lesser restoration.
Lesser rest. Yes,
But that's not a
can.
cantrip, that's a spell.
It's a spell.
I would
Okay.
use up a slot to use.
Yeah, never mind.
If anyone was to have it, it would be
Me.
you.
Hmm.
I also
Yes.
Oh, you have it?
I could prepare it if I wanted to, but I don't. I mean,
He doesn't want to.
well, I mean,
You're on your own.
I don't know how long it takes to prepare spells, so I don't know if I
You
want
can do it every time you rest.
but we haven't rested, so yeah.
Yeah. So
Okay,
even short rests can let you prepare new spells for
But
clerics, because clerics are broke.
no, who's
Q,
got
you
who's
can
got good
climb up the tree. I would, but
who's got good athletics? You got good athletics.
I
Right?
have plus
my
6
athletics is-
athletics.
yeah, let him.
Athletics or acrobatics.
Nakia's
I'll let
gonna do
one
it.
or the other.
All right, I'm gonna cast guidance on him too, so he gets an extra D4.
Dude, can I still stay on his shoulders while he climbs?
She is small enough that it
That'd be
should
dangerous.
You
He can do his, and you can roll an acrobatics check to try.
to see if you can not fall off my back.
Yeah, you're gonna have to roll for it, but I mean, you can try.
I'll take that.
Okay.
Of course, if he falls, you fall. So just,
That is 17.
that's not bad.
Plus
Wait,
So
D4.
you
I
picking a tree?
Hold on, it's more than that. It's 20 plus a d4.
Alright,
Oh, because he got guidance.
So it's 23.
Oh shoot. Okay.
I had a 21.
All right.
Icing on the
What
top.
tree did you want to pick? You got some of those tall ones with sort of the kind of candelabra shape. You got one or two that are shorter, but they also kind of have more branches spread out, and they're less, difficult to get up to. Which one do
I'll
you
go
pick?
up a tall one.
Oh, you want the big tall ones? Okay. So you managed to climb your way up. It's quite a feat. You're quite a large person, especially with a gnome hanging onto you. The gnome does not fall, but it's a bit slippery at times, and it's a bit hard. These tall, kind of black trees are very, very regular.
Don't worry, if you die, I'll heal you.
I just want to let you know I rolled a 13 and I got a 23 out of that. For my
Yeah, you
athletics.
had a lot of advantages. I know. And so you manage to climb, and you get sort of where the branches are. You can hoist yourself onto them. They actually have the way the branches kind of spread off into their sets is actually rather easy to sit on and stand on, and pretty secure.
It'd actually be a 22, but I don't think that matters.
It would not matter. And so you're able to get some vision. You can see a bit farther than perhaps you normally would have been, not the 30, 40 feet now, but rather 60, 70 feet into the distance. You can see kind of on the trail ahead, there's small, more perhaps a couple branching paths, and one of them seems to have a small amount more stones, and the other one seems to have a few more, kind of a little more worn, and there's a small bridge next to it. It kind of goes over sort of a ravine that kind of cuts through the rock at an odd angle.
What do I see?
You see the same things.
Okay.
So there's one where there's like more rock, and there's one that's
Yeah, one that has more of the
worn.
stones you followed on the path, and then there's one that's more of an official route.
Yeah, well, I kind of want to go on that rocky path, but it's probably better to go on the smoother path, though. I'll try to remember that kind of way.
The main road or the
Yeah, the main road.
stone ward protection road.
Where does the rocky path look like it goes up to?
It looks like it goes.
In a
Kinda-
different
It's
direction.
rocky.
Kind of left, the other one kind of goes straight.
Can I look at my map and see if I can guess where each path goes?
Yeah.
Meh.
It's kind of like, I don't think,
It's
You have
that
no
detailed.
idea.
Okay.
this is a bit of small. This would be fine detail if it's there, man. Ugh. You need like a little monocle, like get there.
I am down.
I'll yell up, do you see anything?
We'll have Nucky apply his reading glasses.
You think as a tinkerer I'd be able to?
Well,
have
I'm
something like
gonna
that.
go message down.
Well, you gotta make the tinkerer
I'll
stuff,
cast
not me.
message down to you.
Well,
Is
I
that a
am a
cantrip?
tinkerer.
Yeah.
And I did make a yeti.
And it I'm gonna say,
didn't make
yeah,
the
there's
monocle.
2. I'm gonna say it
I can't make
to
a
Bran,
monocle.
so
Okay.
only you can hear me,
Okay.
and not
Say
even
who?
What?
not even Koo can hear what I say. I guess it's
Message.
Just,
Like
yeah.
telepathic almost.
yeah.
Okay.
There's a fork in the road. There's one that's a little bit more used, and another that's a little bit more familiar. I think we should go with to the right, where the more used one is.
The road more traveled by.
Also, I'm probably overstepping the spell, and also you can reply to this message.
Please do so
my
after
reply.
the beat.
My reply is going to be 10-4, good buddy. Over and out. Like something like walkie-talkie-ish.
Yeah.
You know.
Nice.
I'll cast it again, and then say, "Okay, coming down."
Okay. And I will promptly repeat what he said to everyone down on the ground.
He didn't say over, man. This is disgraceful.
Oh, over and out.
Yeah. I'll repeat everything I say to the people once he says that, because otherwise I wouldn't know if he's done talking.
Okay.
Okay.
And then I go down.
We are
Okay,
now
go
warned.
down.
Oh, that was anticlimactic. Not like a spider walk.
Yeah. You go down and then you die. Alright.
Onward.
Onward and upward. Or downward or wherever we're going.
We
I
now
just went
have
upward,
short view.
and then downward.
Onward and not more upward.
So did I technically.
That's true. But I did all the work.
You did.
I think we shall advance to the split in the road, right?
Yes.
Yes. It was to the right, I said, right?
Yeah.
Well-
The familiar path, he said.
You said that's what you suggested, but that doesn't mean we have to take it.
That's true.
I'm taking it.
I was just trying to remember, because I'm kind of forgetful.
Whatever happened to the whole Robert Frost Road less traveled thing?
We did that once,
So do we see-
but it was less fun.
I took the road less
Now that-
traveled by, and it has made all the difference.
Now that we made... Okay, so now that we're at the crossroads, is there anything observable that wasn't, like, observable from a high level? Like, can we see anything about the paths? Like, I'm just curious if there's anything new when we were close to it.
No, not really. It seems much as described. You know?
I'm
So the
going
one
to the
that
right.
doesn't have the protection wards is more traveled.
Mm-hmm.
That is weird.
Welcome to Yinthia.
That does seem very strange, guys.
I'm just pointing out an observation.
Speaking as the
Doesn't
people
have
that
the
can see
what?
the wards, like... That seems worrisome.
It's a weird setting.
But it.
The druids here are weird. The rangers here are weird. The people here are weird.
So,
Yeah.
You have to be a bit weird to survive in Yinthia.
It also begs the question, like, which one is actually more used today? Because if this city was, like, something happened to it, then this road might not be a good road for us to go by, but the protected one would be, because it implies that someone's been here after crap has happened.
If one of the roads is protected,
Beard. Nod sagaciously.
So...
That's Koo's one inspiration for the day. That she shares with everybody else.
I don't know, what do you guys think? I'm good with going...
Rows of
I'm
like,
honestly good with going either
it's all
way.
going down.
Yeah. I
Now
knew
that
it
you
either.
point this out, I'm kind of changing my mind.
But I'm also
Protective
curious to see
stones.
what's down the more traveled road, because that.
I mean, we
If-
could always split the party.
Alright, everybody vote. Who wants to go down the road with protective stones?
I'll
I'm
look
down
at
for
my mastiff and
whichever.
see
I'm
what
not
he
voting.
thinks. I'll see which one he's more willing to go down.
Oh, that's a good way to decide it. Yeah, let the dog decide, and we shall follow the
The
dog.
dog is happy to sit there. Let me give it a roll, though. Let me give it a roll, waiting and all this stuff. He not once. He's like, I don't know what's going on. And he kind of does the dog thing where he kind of like spins in a circle and he's just kind of like, what's up, what's up? He's kind of getting excited. He's like, people, all this attention. He's
I'm
loving
gonna
it.
throw some food down the path that has the wards on it.
All right, the dog looks and it's like lost. It can't figure out where the food is. The food's right there. It's sitting there. But the dog is just like, where food? I smell the food. He's like sniffing. It's actually got a bad sense of smell though for a bit. So he like kind of like, you know, it's running around. It's getting there eventually though. He's getting closer. He's narrowing it down.
Guys,
He's,
I think it's
he's getting
decided.
hot.
And I'm on him the entire
Bran,
time.
we all
just
saw
be
you
like,
do that.
I think we've been outvoted, Bran.
All right, we're going the other way.
You say that like we voted for the other path. You have two people
You
that are
failed.
definitely neutral.
Alright, who wants to go down the path without the wards? We win! We're
people
going
that
down
are
the
neutral.
protected path. Let's go.
High
The
five.
meat has spoken.
High five, Warren.
I assume it's meat. Because the dog would not be interested in anything.
We share
less.
a human high five.
Respectable.
I'm
It's slightly racist. Carry on.
Just like to
Okay.
know that for the record.
Bran is a normal racist,
I'll like turn
just
around
like
and
most humans.
call
Well,
it back
hold
the
on.
direction.
I mean, it's a bit more complex than that. But, you know, he's a bit discriminatory.
Well, okay, so the
Not like
town
that's
Bran grew
unusual.
up in.
He's like a Texan, where, you know, other states are great, but Texas humans are the best.
The town he grew up in was all human, so you know he's.
It's fair.
You know, he's not used
An
to.
odd place in Yinsathia, but sure.
He's been exposed to some things, but these other people.
The
are
fact
just-
that there isn't like at least one house of gnomes is surprising. Just because Yinsathia has little like gnome hovels.
No, this is like.
They are like an
This
infestation.
is like a pure human village.
That is a unique and interesting village.
It was probably in a place that was so like marshy and gross and unwanted.
No, see, the gnomes would live there because that's interesting. No, this is probably somewhere
Gnomes
bland
go
and
anywhere
super
that's
boring.
interesting.
There's like legitimately just like a field.
Like
It
Texas.
is called Small Town.
And it's called Small Town, and there are no gnomes because gnomes are just like not even.
So it sounds like we're taking
Which is
the
not at
warded
all.
path.
We
rather
go.
than the most traveled.
All right, you guys go down the warded path. This one's a bit more natural and a bit less fun to walk on. But, you know, it gets you places. You kind of keep going, turns. Little odd things. The path kind of goes on like the side of a hill up instead of going like through switchbacks or anything. It's more like just along the side of a ravine all the way up. You know, something that was naturally made
Hiking!
and
Yeah.
not necessarily
So
like
somebody
thought
else do it.
about how to do it right or smart. It was just sort of done. And then, you know, someone put rocks there with little symbols on it. Because, hey! And
Hey.
you guys keep going, and eventually you kind of crest this hill and you start to see, on hills up ahead, you start to see what is, in the far distance, kind of sort of outlines of buildings and maybe a tower or two in wood, but it's way distant. You know, it's maybe a good 10-20 miles out. And that's pretty good with all these trees that you're able to even see that at all. But, you know, you're getting kind of close. It just seems like it's going to be night before you get there.
Okay.
Like, it seems like it's getting close to nightfall now.
Yeah.
So the question is, guys, do we continue through the night or do we camp?
I would definitely recommend camping.
But if we can't, I would feel safer getting to a town by night and then resting in the safety of the town.
That's if there is a safe town.
Yeah, I don't think an uninhabited town is not one whit safer. It's just a different kind of forest. It could easily be different things. If you're thinking of the safety of a building where we might be able to lock some doors.
I mean, that might be nice.
Yeah, I mean, you know, you've got protection if it rains.
Especially, yeah, if it rains.
I don't know that we'll get there before it gets dark. Are you willing to travel through some darkness for that?
No, I've got the mirror.
Does it shine?
Yes, it shines.
It does
It's been
shine.
shining the entire time.
It clears out a little ways in front, and every now and then it will stumble some golden figure that isn't there, some, projected scene.
Okay.
I vote that we make camp.
Right now?
I'm okay making camp.
What kind of surroundings are we in? Just more
Dark,
forest?
scary forest.
Dark, scary forest. There's not a ton of the kind of gribbity-grabbity kind of brambles. Just not as many of those around, but they do exist. So you're gonna have to pick your camp spot a bit. Make sure you're camping where these kind of brambles are a little less common, because unless you like kind of sleeping with thorns that get a bit too friendly, probably not an idea. But other than that, it's pretty normal forest. The trees are weird, but it's dealable.
Well, Warren, you got the final say.
Yeah,
Do
I
I?
can live with either decision.
You have slightly more wilderness experience than the rest of them, except for maybe Nagia, who's got mountain experience, but this isn't necessarily a mountain. Yet.
Yep.
Mountain up ahead.
Yeah, Warren will lean on your expertise.
I like the idea of 4 walls around us, but we don't know whether the town of Head is going to be safe to enter into any buildings.
Or even
We
if we're super close to the town.
Yeah, we would also have to walk through darkness to get there. So if we set up camp here, we can set up a watch. That should keep us safe enough as long as we sleep on our swords.
With your swords or on your swords? Because.
Like-
Okay.
Like, you sleep on your stomach and you
I'm
have
trying to
and
understand
then you
this.
just roll. And you have the sword ready to stab immediately.
Ah.
Yeah, but don't get too excited when you sleep, stab things. Ah!
I will
the
sleep
sword
on
and
my
break
mace.
yourself. Who knows?
All I own is a mace, so there I will sleep on.
Mace roulette. Can't get wrong, right? Every side's the sharp part. Classic.
It's true.
Okay, I pluck some grasses and we draw. Wait, that doesn't work. That only works if there's one. I throw the grasses back down. Like, okay, who wants first watch? Who's taking what order are we going?
I'm going to pass for watch because I'm already exhausted and I don't think I'm going to be any good. So you guys can figure it out amongst yourselves, and I'm just going to lay
Then
down
we
and
have
start going to sleep.
4 watches.
I'll take first watch.
I'll take
I'll take
second.
Okay. I'll take third.
Okay.
I guess I'll fourth then. That's fine.
The pre-dawn watch is the suckiest. Good luck.
Okay.
Okay. I get a fire going.
Alright, you make a fire.
Hopefully with wood that doesn't wriggle.
Give me a survival check.
Okay.
We trust you on this.
Let's see. So that was a 10.
Not bad, not bad. You don't actually grab anything and it doesn't fight you for it. It's just, you manage to get wood that doesn't fight back. Always a plus. And you manage to kind of make a small fire. It's nice. It provides a little bit of warmth. It's actually rather cold.
The fog and all that. Yeah.
All this fog and
Lots of humidity.
plus, Dornmura is even more north than Brunogard, and Brunogard gets a lot of snow in the winter.
Here's our fire.
So you guys are in the north zones of the world. It gets cold, especially at night when it's getting closer and closer to winter.
Cool beans, man.
So you manage to make a nice fire, you guys manage to kind of set up, take care of your essential needs. Those of you who have things to prepare or not prepare that you can do, because it's a short rest. Welcome to Dornmura. You get less than you thought you'd get.
That's fine.
The mist seems to choke you out a bit. It's a little rough.
Okay.
The magic itself is just no, not a good fan. But you manage to take care of yourselves. You manage to get things ready. You manage to get good night's rests, and
There are no spooky echoing birds in the night, although Warren does do some in his sleep because he's probably dreaming about it.
Warren, when is your shift, by the way?
I was second.
You were second? During your shift,
Okay. now that I've brought up the birds, now that I brought up the bird incident,
you have something happen.
Ooh. The paper of death.
great.
All right. So you wake up from your sleep. You're kind of like confused and kind of like weirded out, but nothing really seems to happen. It just continues for a while, and then after a time, it just kind of goes away. What do you want to do?
Was it an instrumental? This long, sad song that woke me up?
A long, sad croon, like someone singing a sad, kind of lullaby, but sang by someone who's just about to cry.
Wasn't me.
I'm going to walk a little bit farther away from the firelight and call out, "Who's out there?"
You don't get a response.
I do nothing else.
Okay.
Sit back down and like,
All right.
nope, not going to look for that mess.
Okay.
Not gonna shoot it. But not gonna go out there either. If it
Fair
wants
enough.
to come into the firelight, we can deal with it then.
All right. And but the rest of your watch seems to go chill, and then you go to bed. When was yours, by the
The
way?
cat has been snoring in my bag the whole time.
So right after her.
Fair enough.
They're gonna
Interesting.
get a paper too.
Oh no.
Everyone gets a paper.
Yeah.
Even the dog.
Your watch. You hear stuff in the forest. You just moving. You hear little rustles every now and then it goes away. Just kind of foresty noises, as far as you know.
Cool.
Anything you want to do?
You're a city gnome.
Yeah, you hear some rustles off to like one side. You could go try like, haha, what's this? Or you could just stay at campfire and make sure nothing jumps everybody.
I might like get a little bit closer and be like, "Is it a bird?" Nope. And then just sit down
Yep. All right.
into the fire.
Interesting. Now,
Warren's cat is
every
nestled up
time
in
Warren's cat is snoozing away, and everyone's kind of watches seem to go pretty well.
Even the fourth watch,
Every,
like nothing.
people
crazy?
watch
Fourth watch seems just
If
fine.
you notice, it was
Warren's
the
cat
two people
making
that hadn't
biscuits
eaten
in
the
his
fruit
back.
that know his stuff.
Huh. Interesting.
It's fun to say, right?
And
Also,
perceptive.
Does that count as a short rest?
Short rest. Everybody, short rest.
Is that what it is?
Yep.
I mean, we haven't done any, unless you want
So
to
short
get
rest is
spells on
like
that.
regain. If you
you
can.
use
Hit dice.
hit dice. Yeah.
Yeah.
You have as many hit die as your level, right?
Mm-hmm. Yeah. So we have 5 hit dice.
But I'm the one that's taking damage.
Everyone with a persistent effect keeps it, and Warren, keep that paper I gave you.
Okay.
I don't have a paper yet. Hey.
Anyway,
Is the fog still here?
the fog is in fact still in force.
You know what's ironic? I have a spell to cast fog, and that spell has never been more worthless.
Well, no, that spell is more worthless than water because it doesn't work.
Yep.
I mean,
I was
you
like,
can-
this could be a great
Is this your
espionage
fault?
spell.
Are you the
You'd be
reason we have
surprised how
fog?
useful I can be.
Well, I mean, the only time it's been useful was when the final battle with Yala was happening, and I was like, do something.
So,
Now or never.
You're all awake?
yeah, we're awake.
Am I
If
still
any,
in exhaustion?
I'll let you clear your exhaustion for now.
For now.
Who knows what's
better
gonna
this
happen?
morning.
I don't know. You're probably gonna get it again next session anyway. You're just gonna be like, haha, time to die. And I'm like, stop it.
Okay.
Here, eat these rations, it'll put your strength back
Yeah.
up.
Bit of mercy for right now.
Okay.
I figure you're gonna need it.
So we are awake.
Yeah?
Can we still see the
Continue
towers?
to this town.
There's, from your camping spot, not very well, but, you're right next to the little path you were on. It seems like that might lead you towards it. Maybe a bit slower than the other path might have, but, still seems to be leading you that way.
Okay.
Okay.
And then I assume that's where we're going, since that's the only thing that we can see in the
I
fog.
think that's pretty accurate. Yes.
That's fair. That's fair.
Carry on.
All right. So we are heading that way.
Right. All right.
Are you gonna give Nakia some sore shoulders? Next time back up
Walk today. If we're walking into the town today, then I'll just walk.
there? Okay.
I'm sure he's tired of me playing I Spy with him.
I mean, I can carry like 1,000 pounds, so.
Well, I didn't say you were
That's your
tired of
max
carrying
capacity,
me.
not how much is comfortable.
I said playing I Spy with me.
Oh, that's true.
I spy. It's fog.
How did he know?
It's like those mooses from Brother Bear. They're like, something tall, it's tree. He's like, I spy tree. I didn't even say it yet. And he's like, it counts. He's like, fine. Tree. Let's play something else.
I spy a creepy guy in the corner over there.
That's it.
I spy something tall
I
and
see it.
ominously
You crazy.
watching me. What? What?
What? Onward we go.
Do I still hear that song?
Oh, I was the only one who heard it.
No, I have a song that I'm hearing.
Oh my gosh.
How's-
Can you sing
Do
it
you
for
mention
us?
song is
this?
I don't know if it was an actual song. It was probably one that the DM just made up because I tried to search for it and I didn't get any results.
Yeah, it is one I made up. Something a bit more fitting.
Okay.
I let you use your
Who was
imagination.
oblivious
Okay.
to everything that's
So
happening to
does
the
she
party.
still hear the song?
If I give you your paper, it's still going on except for yours. I'll tell you when yours is real.
Okay.
Anyway,
Alright.
you know.
Okay.
So everyone's up. Everyone's ready. You guys are gonna move again.
Yes.
Yeah.
Towards the town.
Where's it? Yeah.
Fair
We're
enough.
feeding pretty good.
All right, you guys head on out. More stones, more walking. Yay.
Yay!
You know, it takes a while, but nothing seems to really go wrong. You guys are doing fine. Eventually you come to a point where there's sort of... It's almost like this path follows more along the edge of a ravine,
Ravine?
words of a ravine, and there's also, you know, perhaps a lake and things down kind of off the edge that you could go to if you were crazy. And, you know, if you need water, you want to go to lake fishing, you know. It seems like this path kind of gets close to that and kind of follows the upper level of, like, the bowl around it.
Okay.
And it kind of heads still around. It seems to be going towards town, but, you know, it's been a few hours and you're getting close.
Cool.
And there is a moment where you do find a couple, like... You find a just small little hut. Someone had made a little cabin.
Definitely looking in the cabin.
Okay. It seems pretty old. You look in the cabin.
Obviously, I'm gonna knock first. Unless
Okay.
it looks very abandoned.
It looks pretty abandoned, but knocking couldn't hurt. You knock, nothing answers you.
Yeah, I'm gonna walk in.
Okay.
We'll open the door, Pete.
Push the door. Door's been on better hinges, probably. But you do push it in. And it doesn't break. This is always a plus, right? Free real
Always.
estate. And, you know, you see just mostly, there's a small bed, there's small things, and you do see that this person had slept there in their bed, but now they are just a skeleton in their bed. No signs of anything, just a skeleton in a bed, doing what?
Doing what skeletons do.
Yeah, just being.
Sleeping
Being in the bed.
Yep.
That guy looks well rested.
That was a good one.
Hey.
Can I investigate the skeleton to see if there's any obvious signs of death?
Can I investigate the room for
You
gold?
can roll. You can roll. Both investigations.
I think he's fell
While they
asleep in
roll,
his
I rolled
died
a
in his
19
sleep.
perception check.
15
But
for
that was on the outside of the building.
investigation.
All right. You're aware that there's a soft, like, kind of another sort of an odd breathing sound every now and then. Just kind of an odd little whisper of like sort of a whistle, like a. But it takes a while every now and then.
That's weird.
That's what you hear.
Is this outside the cabin?
Outside the cabin.
I got a 14.
You got a 14? You search around, you find a small book. It's, it's a bit old, and it's reading more about, like... It's sort of like a little book on kind of just of stories, that you would find. And that's most of what you find. There's, like, perhaps dust that was once food in a couple cupboards.
Cool.
Normal stuff. You look around, you see that this body doesn't seem, there's no like foul play, there's no like stab marks, there's none of that. There's no blood anywhere, even if it would last this long. And it just seems really a bit natural. It seems like this person just sort of died and then they just decayed.
They were very old and they lived a long life.
The bed, like even the bed's
been here
decayed.
a long time.
So there probably was a blanket. There's dust.
This is a very old house.
Can I read the book? B-dubs.
Yeah, you can totally read the book.
Okay.
It's written in common.
Cool. Just wanted to make sure.
Yield fables.
Yield fables.
You can totally write that down if you want.
Bran's gonna say a few words.
What does Bran say?
And by a few, I mean a lot.
Can I try and drag him out?
You can absolutely
we gotta
try.
go. We ain't got time.
I'll leave the house in peace and respect.
Does Bran fight the dragging?
Yes.
Okay.
Bran's gonna say his piece.
All right, you two. Strength contest.
Gnome versus
That's
you.
gonna be a no.
I'm pretty sure my strength's better than you. What do you get?
7.
Oh, I had an 8 plus a 5, I think, so it's 13.
The gnome
my strength's
cannot
only
budge
one.
the human.
This tiny little gnome like trying to
the
crawl.
heavily armored human cleric.
Nagia!
Having fun over there.
Yes.
I'm glad.
He turns around with this vine just around his face, like, yes.
I found Mother Nature and we have bonded.
I'm now a druid.
Multi-class.
And he has, like a piece of stone on his head. I'm sure it's crystal.
Yeah.
No, I would imagine it's just this regular rock that he's placed on his head.
Yeah, like-
It's just unusually flat.
Just I hate flat rocks near rivers and lakes. They exist. Just,
a rock on his head and his vine around his face.
it's all the rage.
Nagia. Can you get Bran out of... Because we gotta go.
Oh, okay. I'm gonna go in.
Oh, so Bran, give me a performance check.
Performance check.
Ooh.
Woo!
No, I
Alright, performance is not Bran's strong suit here, guys.
Roll a 20.
It's
It's not
Connect
so
with your inner
11?
grog, Brad.
plus what?
What's your mod?
2. So it's
Cool.
an 11.
Cool.
Oh.
All
It
right.
was a 9 plus 2.
Your words seem all right. You seem chill.
Alright.
Okay.
Seems all right. See, you feel like you've done a good job.
You haven't offended any
Yes.
spirits.
If it's not clear by now, Bran is a lawful good character. So
Alright.
believes in putting things to rest and doing good things. Yeah,
Awful good.
lawful good. I think that is anyone else lawful good in this group?
I
You
am.
are in the wrong group.
Naki is.
Oh.
I dropped everything.
Oh
All right. Okay.
That
Bran
is-
Bran has said his piece and he will now leave.
Wow, that actually wasn't very long.
I'm assuming it took a while, but
no! But enough time for Nakia to finish bonding with nature and start coming after him.
I was walking over to him, and then all my rocks fell off my head.
Well, now.
okay.
I'm now
All right.
I think we're good.
Is that all you want to do with this cottage?
I can't think of anything else.
Well, you never know.
There's a weird breathing and whistling noise. Does anybody else hear that?
No, but I see a guy over there.
Stop that.
By the way, you didn't actually notice someone that time. You're probably just messing with her.
I am.
I'll let you know if you
Singing
see
a song.
something.
be
So
like,
Warren hears like a breathing and whistling. I guess I'd
Yeah,
check to see if I can hear it. See
can
it.
I see if I can
You
perceive?
can both roll if you want.
If she says it, I'm a
18.
Okay, 18's pretty good.
perception. I got 19.
All right. You got a 19? Okay then. So you do hear on occasion, there's every 10, 20 minutes there's a kind of sound.
Like snoring kind of.
Yeah.
Okay.
You guys hear snoring.
Guys, I hear it too. She's not.
I
crazy.
assume that
She's
I
not
hear it
crazy.
too.
do your
Oh, yeah, you
hear that crazy.
your rolls kind of pinpoint where? it
Yeah,
came
can I
from?
follow it?
It's sort of around you guys. It's kind of hard to follow. It kind of echoes.
Sound of the forest. That's weird.
Well, let's continue. See if it gets louder.
Maybe you should
Down
call out to
back.
that Brandon Barris guy. Maybe he's
Maybe he's sleeping.
sleeping.
Mars! Mars, are you here? I don't think he's here.
Like, Brandon Barris, show us the sign of your presence.
It'd probably be more like, Randabaris, get here so I can kick your butt!
I wonder which is worse.
What?
Radibars is or isn't a deity. I'm gonna keep that one going in the mystery box as long as I can.
If he's a deity, he's a lot harder to fight with. If he's a sorcerer, he's a little easier to fight with.
There's a lot more options than just those two, but I appreciate your
Alright,
gusto.
I'm gonna. Brand's.
The optimism.
Yeah, that noise is interesting, but I don't know where it's coming
Let's
from.
keep
Yeah.
going down the path, see if it
Carry
gets
on.
louder.
Okay. It just kind of goes with you as you guys go. And just every 20 minutes you hear like a little.
Well, that's gonna drive me insane.
I'm gonna try mimicking that sound and see what happens.
Yeah, nothing happens when you
It
do
just
that.
I
sounds
am
like
going
somebody's
to-
really happy with their whistling skills.
I am going to cast Detect Magic.
Okay.
Okay, so I'm casting Detect Magic in a 30-foot area around us.
Alright. You cast Detect Magic. You're not using it as a ritual, right?
It's not a ritual.
Cool.
It does take 10 minutes to cast, though, so I'll be kind of casting as we walk.
Maybe I'll pull up in that book and just kind of start looking.
Because
over
Detect
it.
Magic can be a ritual, no matter who's casting it. But do you want to take 10 minutes or not?
It says a first level divination.
Yeah. That doesn't mean it can't be a ritual.
Oh.
It's ritual is more like something that you can have a spell have as well as like its
Is-
other stuff.
So a ritual wouldn't use a spell slot, is that what you're saying?
Yeah.
Yeah, ritual wouldn't use the spell slot, but it would take like 10 minutes. You know how it goes.
Yeah, no, let's do it then.
It's
do it.
not
Alright.
something that you
I don't
can
want to use a
in
spell
battle.
slot if I don't have to.
I just
Use it
figure
outside of battle.
you want to save that.
Yeah, sure.
Yeah, it's a good one.
Just seeing if I can observe.
All right. So do you cast this when you guys are still leaving the cottage? You doing this on the
No,
road?
it makes sense. The sound is following us, so at that point I'm thinking, okay, let's figure out what the sound is. So
Fair
let's-
enough, fair enough. So as you guys kind of go, you cast the spell, things kind of work out, and for your detect magic, what do you, what is your main like focus? How do you cast spells? Is it a holy symbol?
I mean,
Most
I'm trying
clerics have some form of holy
yeah,
symbol.
it's a holy symbol. It's a holy symbol, but I haven't decided what it is yet.
Yeah,
so
that's
it's-
fine. You take your holy symbol, you kind of do something with it. It doesn't necessarily have to be like one of a god, but it could just be like a symbol for good or some philosophical shape. That's all it needs to be. And you kind of get this idea of like a myriad of these symbols just sort of like slither onto the world around them like a kaleidoscope. And they begin to like sort of collect on a few things. On one of the tall black trees, they sort of like get towards the top and kind of like congregate near the, near the top of the branches.
Okay.
And then, they make sort of interesting shapes on the trees for a bit, but nothing interesting.
Okay.
And then one of them kind of crawls around on some of your friends' packs. The symbols are kind of like
Alas, that's the wrong time.
sitting in certain places where maybe stuff is. certain needles, certain books, maybe a crown.
Sorry.
You know,
Crown?
We don't have the crown.
Androids and iPhones. I guess there's a
Maybe.
stereotype out there.
Maybe a crown.
There's
And,
a special one.
yeah, that's why I said
There's
maybe.
older
But,
editions. This is a newer.
you know, and
So,
also just people's packs. Nakia's staff and all his stuff kind of has a few around him, kind of sniffing around, confused.
Types.
And you know, it seems pretty
Mine is
Also,
one
like-
of them.
pretty feasible. You also notice that Warren's cat has lots of these symbols on it.
Probably the one that
Okay. It's a magical
that
cat.
board is my
It's
guess.
pure
Well,
bitterness.
I'm learning more
Familiars.
about. I'm learning more about the rest of the
Yep.
party, but is there anything else?
Nothing really crazy that you can tell.
Okay. So no magical presence within 30 feet.
No, that's alright.
Okay.
There's lots of magical presence, just know that you're not sort of already aware of
Okay.
as a player.
Okay.
That's fine. I just
Sounds good.
can't trade anything for relief.
We're good then. Let's continue onward.
Okay, we continue.
I told you I didn't know
You guys all got a lot of magical junk. That's all I'm gonna say.
We are a
Well,
party
you
of
have no
adventurers.
idea.
I say we carry on down the road.
Okay.
Obviously, that sound is just something.
It's just in our heads now.
Yeah.
It's just gonna follow us.
It's 'cause I ate
It's the curse of the dead man. He's like, how dare you walk in my cabin? I will haunt you with this snoring sound for the rest of your days.
You disturbed my slumber, now suffer the consequences of my snore.
Well, at least we know it was a happy snore.
Alright, so you guys keep going, and in the distance, just 300, 400 feet up ahead, you see kind of this sort of wall. It's sort of a barricade, there's sort of spikes around it. It seems like the kind of outer wall to a town. Some of the spikes are a bit beaten up, and kind of weirdly, like, yes, they've been used, something has been hurt on these spikes. You know, they seem to just form this sort of barrier of things you don't want to step on. But also there's sort of a path through them towards the gate.
Yes.
And, you know, you don't see anyone on watch or anything, but it doesn't look like it's completely in disrepair.
I shall call out, hello!
You don't really get much of a response,
Do I get
but you're a couple hundred feet away. You know, it's kind of a windy day. There's a lot of fog everywhere, too, that makes it just hard to
dampens the
see.
sound?
Yeah, and hear.
Kima Arthur, Lord of the Brits.
I didn't vote for you. Anyway,
Okay, shall we approach then? I'm game to approach as
Yeah.
long as we don't step on
Alright.
anything bad.
all right.
You step on
You guys
some
make an
dog.
approach and
Yes.
kind of get towards the gate. You know, it's a ways in. You get to the gate. You kind of, it's sort of closed. You feel like just on inspection, it's not too hard to tell it. You could probably open the gate a bit. It's not necessarily locked. What do you guys do?
Open the gate.
Hello!
Yeah, we'll test it, see if it
Yeah,
does
why not?
anything.
Fit through the bars.
I assume nobody responds to my hello.
Yeah, nobody responds to the hello.
I think we're gonna open the gate.
Alright, you guys push open the gate, and you guys see sort of this main street and this sort of gate open parts of the town. Seems like the houses aren't, like, badly taken care of. They seem just sort of empty looking. Things are pretty chill, you know. It's a bit weird. You see kind of one of the guards that had perhaps been on the watch is sort of leaned against the wall, but they're a skeleton, just in armor. And they're just kind of slouched there against the wall.
Okay. Can I pick his pockets?
You definitely could try. You go on over and you kind of like, I'm not sure where the pockets are anymore. The armor's there. It may be old and rusted in a lot of ways, but it seems like the armor's, you know, not broken or anything, but pockets? Not finding any, really. It's just a couple coins maybe lying on the floor.
Maybe at
beside
the
it.
bottom of his feet.
But they're kind of in this, like, super barely like this fine film, and it's like the wallet itself is just dusted. It's gone completely, and all that's left is some old rusty coins.
These are some very old towns been around here, not inhabited for a while. It's kind of odd.
I think everyone died.
Well,
They froze and
obviously.
died.
Well, the one person fell asleep or died in their sleep of old age. This guy, it's just kind of an odd position for a guard to be up against the wall and dead like that.
Maybe something happened, but it happened at night. And this guy was just on the night shift.
Yeah, we don't know if the guy in the bed died of old age specifically. We know he died in his bed and didn't struggle.
We know it was natural.
Okay.
Well,
He slept to death. Probably this guy too.
can you, like, investigate the town
Sleeping
for
sickness.
anything odd or unusual?
You can absolutely do that. Roll an investigation check, since I guess you're leading it. Everyone's gonna depend on you.
Cool.
What'd you roll?
16.
Not bad. As you go around, you notice this town, it's not in the best shape for a town, but there's no caved buildings, there's none of that. Things that definitely don't last very long, at least not tons of years, like, thatched and straw and things. Some of those have been replaced or retaken care of. A lot of the roofs seem to have been made kind of fixed or repaired in places. People dead all over the place. Skeletons are just there. In some parts of the town, there's just skeletons next to stands in the middle of the street.
Stands? Oh, like market
Stands and market
Yeah.
stalls, and
Gotcha.
and just next to the doorways to houses, and sitting in chairs, and just skeletons in odd places, and it's just an interesting thing to see. As if these people were just doing their lives, and then suddenly they're skeletons.
Ah.
It was a little weird. I want to go to one of these stands, though, and see if there's anything left in it.
You do. There's a few different kinds of stand that are up. Most of them are pretty simple. They're more of covering than anything else for, wares and a table. They usually have some fruits. Most of the fruit, however, is gone and dusted. But some of the stands are still selling things like firewood still there. And, certain places have tools that are still available. So it's interesting just what's available and what's not. It doesn't seem to be because they're perishable or not, but rather just because things that you'd need to eat are just left and they're just gone. But tools, those are all provided and shown, and you still have there's a skeleton lean over one of the things as if they were bartering for something. It's just an interesting place to be.
Maybe the city got snapped.
What does that mean?
Like
Like Thanos, like
Yeah.
this Thanos
Oh,
snap.
maybe.
But then they'd be completely dust as if they'd never existed.
But maybe it wasn't quite a
It was
snap.
faulty.
It was like they didn't have all the stones. So
Like
everyone
someone trying
died.
to stamp a donut,
Half the
they don't
people
know how to do
died.
it.
Just they didn't disappear.
Those are really lame snaps where you more go instead of a proper one.
He just
God.
failed. He just failed the snap fingers. He just realized he couldn't. He's like, no, how
Wait, I don't know how to snap.
Oh,
I
You
have
can't
metal
snap your
on my
fingers in the
fingers.
wrong gauntlet anyway, so.
Yeah, it's true. You can't do it.
But whatever.
So,
Well, I don't know that we're gonna find anything interesting in this town. Should we continue on and see?
This is Dornmura then.
Is this Dornmura?
You
Is this the
know that
capital?
this is a town along kind of the mountain, and kind of up farther up the mountain you do see this tall kind of old castle.
Let's go towards
Stands. The
castle.
banners are still standing proud. It seems interesting.
Okay.
Let's go towards the castle.
well, do any of these stands look like they would have held items that are specialty? You wouldn't you've got your typical town tools, your merchant, whatever, but specialty trade kind of a.
Well, not necessarily in all the stands, but there's a store that's someone who was a sort of a gem cutter of sorts. And theirs does have gems. It still has crystals and things, all finely cut for decoration.
Are there any spoons?
I want to take a few of the gems.
There's a couple spoons.
Can I take a shiny gem or the blue ones? I want the blue gems.
You can have a couple spoons.
Bran's gonna take a few minutes and say
Take a
few
couple
words.
gems.
I want to take a couple of blue gems.
Bran's gonna say some words.
All right, make a performance check.
Are they any special spoons or just regular spoons?
Just there's like one brass spoon.
There's
There's a silver one.
Ooh,
That is
good.
an 18.
They're kind of worn, but you know they're things.
Medicine?
No, performance.
Oh, gotcha.
Not bad. You actually manage to avoid monologuing about something boring and totally unrelated for a while. I managed to say some good words, and it seems a bit fitting.
But nobody's listening.
Nobody's listening.
As far as you know.
Except for the dead people.
How many gems
Who
are
I'm
in
saying
this
it for in the first
stall?
place.
How many gems are in this stall?
Oh, there's about 6 good ones that seem like they'd be worth any amount of money.
I'll take them.
There's about 3 rupees, 2 sapphires, and an emerald.
Okay.
Oh, that's nice.
Did you say rupees?
That's what it sounds
Rubies.
I was
like.
really excited.
Rupees!
Break the pots, break the pots.
Alright, I'll take all 6 of them.
They'll leave the room and come back, and they come back. Sorry.
Do it all over again.
Getting the Ocarina of Time a little bit.
No, it's fine. It's fine. It's maybe not the location you're hoping it is.
Well, I mean, just, like when you go in the future and everyone's like zombie things anyway.
Yeah,
All of a sudden we stepped into like a... Never mind.
maybe.
The trick is to move really slowly, and that doesn't activate them. You can
See,
walk straight up
yeah.
to them and up-see straight up into their faces. and they
See,
just
that's the
stand there.
solution for the smart and the sane. My solution is violence.
I didn't know
Unbelievable
that.
violence. If you mash hard enough, it doesn't matter. You can hit them.
Amen. This is also, there's more than one way to skin a cat.
Okay, so...
When you're dealing with zombies, there's only one way. It's called death. Something's dying
Okay,
again.
so is it up...
It's
So
a me
is
event.
there a path up the mountain or something from this town?
There is sort of this town does have a path that kind of goes around, and there's a whole bunch of switchbacks. There's another town, and then it seems like it might go up to the castle
Okay.
Yes.
from there.
I say we forge onward.
For John.
Okay. You guys you kind of leave this town, you kind of go up this road. It's kind of overgrown in a bit with grass and not well kept, but it's a road, and you get yourselves up to the next town. It's a pretty similar town.
Question.
Yes?
On the road, is there still those protective symbols and things?
There aren't.
Okay.
Real Alice.
Okay.
And as you go into this next town, this one's perhaps a bit more nice, better taken care of. Houses generally have better roofing, and just overall, it's sort of a nicer kind of city, kind of town. Perhaps a bit larger as well.
Still more skeletons?
Still more skeletons.
Any gold?
There's gold around, but not a ton.
It's as if whatever happened to this area came from outside and slowly made its way inward, so that the outer areas of the town have deteriorated more because they were taken first.
Or the outside of the town was the poorer part?
Also possible.
That is usual.
Are we forgetting any common knowledge about Dornmura? Do people talk about it?
It
Did
used
you
to
walk
be
out?
a kingdom,
Come out
used to
of
be
it.
part of Yencythia, before all sorts of concordats and things, so it's sort of like Yencythia in an earlier government form, but still sort of part of the empire, as everyone would consider it. It used to be pretty potent, and it used to actually be two separate states that kind of had a unification, and then the Thornwall.
And do people don't ever pass up by the Thornwall as far as
They usually try to avoid it.
yeah. Okay.
Onward to the castle.
People occasionally come back, but it's usually there's a whole bunch of terrifying plants that kill people. That's most of what you know
So we'll
about.
get there eventually.
Eventually.
Okay.
There's
Towards the
supposed to be
castle.
like people killing plants, and we haven't run into those yet.
Where have you?
I mean, maybe, but Bran's not dead.
I took one for the team,
Well,
guys.
all
that
things
was very
considered,
early
he
on.
didn't get grappled to a point where
I
he
took
was
literally
completely
one for the team.
immobilized.
1 hit point.
Technically, too, because you also got bludgeoning damage.
Yeah, but that was separate. That was for me.
Okay. To the castle!
Right. It's a little harder to navigate this other village, town thing. It's hard to tell really what they are. Maybe they're the same village that just has a road between the two, and it's like,
You know, like kind of a farming area in between.
you know, uptown, low town. Hey.
Yeah.
Hey.
Maybe.
And so eventually you do, and you kind of start heading up towards this castle. There's this sort of long set of walks. There's sort of gatehouses and towers, all inhabited by skeletal, like, remains of soldiers, remains of people, you know, remains of just people doing people things and what you expect them to be. And it keeps going more. There's a couple gatehouses as well. The doors are open. People are just, you know, lying around on the job, I guess.
Do we see like workers in fields that have toppled over and
Yeah, a few times. But mostly it's just, you see like people just usually are in some form of rest.
yeah, that's what I was about to make a perception check for.
Most of them seem to
In
have,
the houses.
most of their corpses seem to be in some position where it's comfortable. Not usually like sprawled out or anything. They're usually in some relaxed position.
So I'm curious, if I take the mirror up to one of those skeletons and just kind of shine it and hold it on and see what it does.
You see figures of people talking and doing things. You can't hear anything, but they move and they talk, and there's other people. Yeah, it seems like, you know, seems pretty clear that you get sort of a glimpse into what this person was doing, things like that.
Does it show anything about what happened to the person?
Not a thing.
Okay.
So maybe you're right. Whatever happened, maybe it happened at night.
Isn't that what I said?
Oh, sorry. Sorry, Nokia. I'm old, you know. Not
I'm
the
still
oldest,
heading towards
but
the
still
castle.
old.
All right.
We're going.
Plotting onto my normal 30 feet per minute.
All right.
Yeah.
You guys kind of get up there. It kind of levels out, and there's this sort of like thoroughfare that you'd go before you can go into the drawbridge, you know, to the castle. The drawbridge is kind of beat up. It's kind of old, but it does look like it's had some holes fixed. You know, parts of the wood that have rotten and just been broken have been replaced with newer wood, kind of alongside older wood.
How new does that new wood look?
Yeah.
Some of it's pretty darn new. Some of it's pretty darn old.
This
So-
is sketch.
So we're outside the castle?
Yeah, you're outside the castle.
Alright, I've learned from my friends. I'm just gonna yell at it. Hey! People!
No
Castle.
answer.
I'm gonna go try and go across Lay Drawbridge.
All right.
I'm gonna watch to see what happens to her.
No, you walk right across the drawbridge.
Go.
Okay,
I'll
I follow.
after.
Can I just walk into the castle?
Yeah, you do. You pass more corpses. And
Oh, by the way, I do have lesser restoration. I just saw it. Sorry. It took me that long to realize. Sorry, carry on.
anyway, so you kind of enter this sort of large courtyard sort of thing. It's mostly rectangular, going away from you, you know. It's a couple hundreds of feet, maybe thousands in that direction. And the walls kind of follow that. Sort of like a, you know, just a very large rectangle, like thin castle on a hill. And you're kind of there. You see there's a formation of like guards that have just died in formation. as if they had been doing some kind of like drill or position. They are just there, just collapsed on their own spears,
Like seppuku or just?
like just
Resting
on
next
it,
to
like
them.
trying to sleep on it.
Okay.
Whew.
I'm Are there
This
any
place
goes or
is
anything
bad.
into like an inner keep?
Hmm?
Like anything?
Yeah, there's a set of kind of stairs, and there's a great kind of like barred, well-reinforced door at the end of it.
It just hit me. We're in Sleeping Beauty.
He said that like weeks ago.
Yeah.
I didn't hear that part.
We
It
are
just
in
hit
Sleeping
me.
Beauty.
Wow.
Congratulations!
I know.
You
I
made
just
it.
discovered it myself.
That's fine.
Hey, Koo, try
Bran
yelling.
wasn't part of the party at the time, okay?
Fair.
Try yelling for Brando Bardis.
Bran.
Okay.
Dolbaris.
I call Brandabaris. Brandabaris,
Yes?
are you here? I didn't say Bran.
My full name is Brandel Baris, and then Bran is the
Liar.
Just kidding. No. That would have
You
been a
don't seem
twist
to
of
get any
fate.
response for that.
I think we need to make it a little bit more appeasing to him. I mean, this guy, I would imagine you would have told me a little bit about, us being together, kind of about this whole thing, and
You never asked about it.
well, I would imagine, we've been together for like 3-4 years.
Yeah.
If he's this kind of trickster guy, we gotta, make it more interesting for him to come down and see us.
I'm gonna go check out the castle.
Yeah, castle exploring.
I'm gonna check that gate. See if I can
Okay.
get past
Maybe
it.
Explore the
we
dungeon.
need to bring an offering for him. What
He
kind of
doesn't deserve anything.
what kind of an offering would a trickster?
You saw my second virtue. I'm not giving him anything
Yeah,
more.
you just need a punch in the face. That's what it sounds like.
Cool.
Huh?
When we looked at the map, were there more than one place where he could be?
Yes.
Oh.
Was his name just kind of over the whole area? Or was it in one particular spot? The Brando Bardis name? On your map.
It's in several locations across the country.
But here.
But this was the closest one.
There was multiple here.
Well, I'm gonna.
Do you think this could be like a clue for where he could be? Or do you think this is where he is?
I think there's a clue.
He's been here apparently. Well, I'm gonna go over to one of these skeleton guards and try and be all trickstery to see if I can summon this guy and just kind of like move the bones in weird, silly positions.
Okay.
What if
Still
this
gonna go
is
to the gate.
What if this is the work
Yeah,
of
I'm gonna-
Bars?
That's what we're gonna figure.
Is that the only door?
Yeah.
Is that barred gate?
There's another couple doors. They're smaller, they're more wooden, they're more squat. They seem to be things for like a barracks, they seem to be things for like, a place for cooking, a place for this and that.
Okay.
Normal kind of quarters for people. Just simple kind of
Okay.
castle quarters.
I think we'll go open the door.
Yeah,
I think
let's
the
go
doors needs to be
examine that
open.
door and see if we can open it.
Sorry, I'm
Open the
gonna go with
I'm going
them.
to make like an amalgamation of spears.
We'll
and
let bro keep
bones
playing
and
with the
crazy
bones.
creature. While they're doing that,
Could be like bone sculpture out there.
yes, like a bone and
You
spear
take one
sculpture.
sanity damage. No, I'm just kidding.
Okay.
Gonna write that down, the disrespect for the dead.
Oh, you get more shame guilt than I do.
Wait, do I
this
get-
round.
Are you ready now that I've been respecting the dead this whole time?
Oh yeah.
Okay, thank you.
Okay.
Bran respects the dead. This is important, write that down.
Thus, the dead respect him.
I'm just trying to get rid of the virus.
Okay.
I don't want to
By
be
playing with the other dead people's bodies, thank you so much. I'm sure Brandon Forrest would be totally ecstatic with you. If he's even real.
That's true. I'm just trying to think trickster. Like, what would he do?
You take one look at you and be like, "There's nothing left to discuss."
There's Trickster, and then there's I'm gonna mess with these dead people.
Aw.
Different things.
Okay. So what do we see?
But if that's how you define Trickster, you're gonna have to live with it.
So when we open can we open the gate? The door?
The main gate does open, but it takes a lot of pressure. It's not actually locked, but it's just heavy as heck.
Knock ya.
Not yet.
Oh, too good!
It takes you a minute or two to push it open yourself.
Nobody helps you. We all just rush into it. It's like, nah, yeah.
It's just so heavy, and you can tell this is supposed to be like siege resistant. So it's like, even unlocked, like, you're not supposed to open this fast. But you push it open.
I mean, I can push 1,000 pounds, so.
There we go.
Yeah.
Okay.
Cool.
Okay.
So you push it open, and you see this sort of grand hall as well, more kind of extending back, similar rectangular shape, to the one before. This one has these tall, kind of point arched windows on the sides that are all stained glass.
Ooh.
Just, a bit dusty, but, it's still good.
Stained glass.
Yeah.
And the theme for the Icona Castle in Majora's Mask starts to play.
That's a good one, but I don't know if that's the one.
Okay.
But let me see
Kind
if
of
I
the
have a better
Castle
one.
of the Dead in the Kingdom of the Dead.
You're not wrong.
Kind of idea.
Is this one any good, though? Let me see.
Go
Yeah.
to Suspense 4.
Cool. And stop teasing me.
Okay.
Anyway, so you guys see these huge windows that are way, way expensive to make. You could probably never sell them for anything, but still, they're worth a lot. Each one of these windows is a year's worth of wages at least. And they are just all the way across. There are little alcoves with little shrines. There's little places for people to meet and discuss. There are people still meeting and discussing, only their bones. And
They're meeting.
they're just around. They look quite like they were. They're just decayed.
Yeah.
And, there's people just sort of around. It seems pretty interesting the way they're laid out. There's sort of a king and a queen sitting on the thrones just back there. It's kind of a weird set of thrones, too. There's just one that's, like, very split, almost. It's almost like they took a throne, they chopped it in half, they moved them aside. So they were both lacking an armrest in the middle.
But it's more like it's an intentional design
Intentional.
to show that the two
Just
are two
like,
parts of one
It's
whole.
flawless. There are little, like, puzzle piecey things to show that, like, they're supposed to go together, but they've been removed. Or
Gotcha.
something, just like...
So,
That.
Warren appreciates the aesthetic.
are these skeletons? Are these like pearly white, clean skeletons, or are
Oh,
they like
yeah, they're
decayed?
bleached, man. They are picked white. They are actually quite well taken care of, though. They're not, like, rotten, like ones you'd find in the middle of the desert.
Yes,
These skeletons have been well preserved, but definitely there's nothing left but bone.
Do they look like that's how they died, where everything was just suddenly removed, or if it's just been so long that that's how they look now?
It's hard to say. I mean, how often do you really, like, investigate like that?
That's true.
CSI D&D.
So,
Who did it? It was the Beholder. In the kitchen with the lava lamp.
so is there any exits or other?
There are
doors?
more alcoves. There are kind of wings that seem to go out of the building, and there are, kind of like halls and perhaps more rooms. There are also little kind of servant stores, where like, oh yeah, you've cooked the food. Little kitchens or little, I've got like the mops and stuff in this little cupboard that no one's gonna pay attention to. Normal stuff.
Okay.
Can I inspect the king queen and see if I find anything different?
You absolutely can.
Ugh.
Give me an investigation.
Well, that's only a 9, so.
Burrowable.
You see, they are still wearing their crowns.
Can I take your crown?
Oh, she gets to disrespect the dead now.
Done.
You can absolutely take a crown.
As he gives
Can
you
I try to
this
stop her
evil
from taking a
DM
crown?
grin.
Because
You
that
can
seems,
absolutely try.
that seems incredibly disrespectful to the dead.
Yes, do it, Q. Do it. I don't
He
want
says
to
that as you go up there. He's like, hey,
It's kind of like the child that you're like, what's in your mouth? And they run towards it as fast as possible.
all right. You run up. Bran, would you chase or would you just let her run up there and...
I'll just try to convince her not to do it.
Okay,
I had a funner idea, but I think I'm just gonna do it.
are you sure?
Because I don't think anything else will work.
Alright, I'm gonna cast command on her. And the command will be halt.
Okay. What do you have to do for that?
She has to make a Wisdom 16 saving throw.
Nope, that's only 13 or 12.
So she stops.
I think it was wisdom because that's my lowest.
I feel like all my spells are going to do well on you then, because that's all I do.
Surprise! Alright, so she stops, and now what? You gonna try and, like, don't do it? This could really backfire?
No, I'm going to be like, hey, Nakia, can you come make sure that, pick this up and take it with you?
Leash the clock.
Yeah.
Pick up the.
Yeah,
We keep on calling you over like,
Make
nah,
sure this one
yeah.
doesn't do anything that gets us in trouble, will you?
Okay. I'll put Ku on my shoulders
Okay.
and make her sit up or something.
Alright, you guys are noticing it's
Not
starting to get
frozen.
dark as
Okay.
well.
I just had to
You've
halt.
spent a while just goofing around in people's
It's
houses
I
and
can't go towards it.
searching through towns and just messing with people's skeletons. So it's getting darker. It's not night yet, but it might be night in an hour or two.
Alright, well,
Let's go investigate more.
while they're still checking out the castle, I'm going to, after realizing that the whole bone amalgamation isn't going to do anything, I'm going to instead, walk around and kind of act like I'm inspecting the work of all these dead bones. Like, I'm somewhat impressed, and all at the same time I'll be like, putting an entire town to sleep, yeah, that's pretty good, but I mean, come on, this has been done before. Is this really the best you've got? I mean, come on now. Steel and civic virtue, that's pretty clever, but an entire town to sleep?
Ranting.
Ranting in the air.
halfway, just ah!
By yourself.
Just starts rearranging bones, and then all of it starts ranting.
That amalgamation of bones is probably gonna come attack us tonight.
Oh yeah. This is gonna be like in Spy Kids 2 when they take the gold and then all of the skeletons come to life.
So you said it's getting dark?
Yeah,
Okay.
getting towards night. You've spent a lot of time goofing around the town.
Yeah. Is there anything
Technically, 2 towns and a castle.
So
And a cabin.
Bran's purpose is going to be
That's true.
seeing if there's anywhere where we can kind of safely spend the night in the
Okay.
castle, like any
I still
rooms
want to
that.
Well, you've passed
research
inns.
the castle.
On the way, both
I'm
towns
looking
had
for-
inns that were
I'm
seemed
looking for a
fully
room-
ready.
I'm looking for a room in the castle that is like one entrance, and is pretty
Okay.
well.
Some of the the servant-y areas have one entrance. They're just sort of like in the little alcoves. They have one entrance and just wood. Seems pretty solid.
I want to look for the treasury.
No, wait. Let's not split up.
Okay, so I will
It's getting dark.
find one of those alcoves that doesn't have a skeleton in it. Hopefully.
Okay. There's a few.
Okay. And that's where I will say, "Hey guys, I think we should wait out the night here."
It does have rooms, but most of the rooms have skeletons in them.
I don't fancy spending the night with
that.
skeletons, honestly.
Well,
Yeah.
at least the ones that he's checked right now. You could check for more if you guys want to, but it would take time.
That is an awful.
Yeah. We've been doing really well so far, so let's stay together and keep doing well.
I'm still out in the courtyard, apparently.
By the way, I rolled a 13 for perception. Are there any particular symbols of this family in that hallway? In that courtyard? I mean, that throne room.
There's a few, yeah. Roll me a history check.
Let's see. Uh-oh. This is also... I need to borrow your dice more. That was just 6, so...
Yeah, it doesn't seem like there's, much about any of the symbols. Classic symbols. Some are royal, some are not, some are just normal things. You're like, I guess? Because sort of a ranger, not necessarily a herald or courtly person.
Yeah. But none of them match the symbol that I found with the dead people from whom I got my fortune.
No, it doesn't seem like that, no.
Okay. Just checking.
Alright.
So apparently I'm still out trying to provoke a deity.
And the rest of us are
Girl,
getting
stop
ready to
doing
sleep.
that.
Yeah,
Add
I
quotes.
don't think he's
To
listening.
provoke and deity.
yeah.
I'll go look for Burl, and I will drag her back if necessary.